nestled in the land of corn and ethanol, is the Iowa Speedway here tonight on 3-Wide TV. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have the SimPossible Racing League B-Car Series at this 7/8 of a mile racetrack. It's one of the best-known racetracks for side-by-side racing and lots of action. Joining me in the booth tonight is Cameron Rich, and as always, Carlos Acosta is back in the production truck. And Cameron, this is a very exciting racetrack. Lots of side-by-side action, lots of bumps in the corners, and also variable banking. Tell us a little bit about this place.
Yes, this track was actually designed by Rusty Wallace, the famous racer himself, and he modeled it right after the Richmond International Raceway. So that's why it is a D-shaped oval, a bit larger at 7/8 of a mile as opposed to 3/4 of a mile. But yeah, like you said, it is variable bank, so we will see these drivers running all over the racetrack, middle line, high line, excuse me, right up, especially up there in the turns 3 and 4 end of the speedway. You're going to see drivers probably run right up next to that wall. That is a very fast line around this track. So one thing about this track, though, with those lines that we can run as drivers, the track is very bumpy. Not really that old. It's about 14 years old at this point or so, maybe a little bit less. But those bumps around the bottom and high side of the track are very, very jarring as a driver, and you can really feel them. They really do upset the car. So that really plays into where you can kind of run on this track.
Yeah, without a doubt, those bumps are crazy, and I'm sure we'll see those bumps in action here tonight as all these drivers are now moving over to the qualifying session. There's the number 33, Doug McCollum, currently on the racetrack. And speaking of these drivers out there, let's look at the point standings here briefly. And currently leading the points is driver of the number 25 machine. That's Kyle Zimmer. 2 wins on the season for him. And just 16 points back is Chris Roberge. We'll see him tonight driving the number 98 machine. 3rd place in points is Tanner Sharp. Alan Capers 5th place in points, and Alan Capers is 4th place. 5th place is Tim Masters, and Tim is 45 markers off the top as we have completed 13 of the 33 scheduled races so far this season in the B-Car Series, and all these drivers now starting to take time. Doug McCollum was the first car out there, and Cameron, it's pretty interesting to see what McCollum's doing. You see he's running that middle groove there, and he's kind of late apexing here. I thought he might be coming down to pit road, but he's decided to stay out there on the racetrack. But that late apex there, already we're starting to see these drivers start to use different groups.
Yeah, and as we could watch the 99 of Johnny Berardi right here, you can see that car just hobble over those bumps on the bottom side of the racetrack. It's very, very bumpy down there. One of the bumpiest tracks on the circuit, I do believe, and really, it's not so bad here in turns 3 and 4 on our version of iRacing. Of course, now it is a little bit older, and those bumps are in that end of the speedway. But right here, you'll see him hit those bumps, and it just really upsets the front of that car. It really just kind of sloshes up and down, and it really just it's really a jarring feeling. You see it with Tanner Sharp right here as well. So you want to run down there on that bottom side of the track in 1 and 2, but you have to just kind of let the car negotiate those bumps.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, just watch that front splitter as it goes over those bumps. It will shoot way up in the air and then slam back down to earth. And the driver can feel all of that here in the iRacing simulator. A lot of these drivers racing with wheels that have force feedback. Some of these drivers racing with SimAbility rigs and other devices for drivers who are disabled. But, you know, that is one thing here on the SimPossible Racing League that not a lot of other leagues have, and that is drivers who have some form of disability, and they use different devices to race each and every week, and some of them have controllers and stuff like that. It's pretty impressive to see all these drivers out there on the racing track. As you see the number 4 of Nate Catilla, he currently sits 6th place in points. There's the number 20, Dave Wilson. And Dave has missed a few races, unfortunately, with us this season in the B-Car Series. Currently sitting 11th place in points. He's missed 4 races, but he does have 3 wins, which is tied with Tanner Sharp as the league leader in wins. So keep an eye on that number 20 machine tonight, as that number 20 SimAbility Toyota Camry is going to come to the stripe here. We'll see what he can do time-wise. Looks like he's going to move up into the 6th position here. So Kyle Zimmer currently sits on the provisional pole. with a 22.490 there. Tanner Sharp just over a 100th of a second back, so pretty close up there at the top. Here comes Nate Catilla in the number 4. And he set down a 22.667, sitting 4th place in the 4 machine. Currently 5 drivers yet to take time, being Alan Capers, Travis Zudema, Tom Johnson, Brian Lowhead, and AJ Digby. So we'll have to see if those drivers will be able to go up there and set time. It's that number 4 machine. Change paint schemes right on your screen right there. And Cameron, you know, this is a track where passing is fairly easy. You know, when we talk about certain racetracks in iRacing, we talk about passing being difficult, but Iowa Speedway is a track that has multi-grooves. It can be a little bit frustrating at times, especially if you get pinched down there on the bottom, but it is definitely multi-grooved.
Yeah, and the typical preferred passing spot is going up there on the high side. Look at those gas prices, my goodness. But really, especially up in turns 3 and 4, where you see the number 4 of Nate Catilla running right now, you can really just drive it up there right up next to the wall and get a great run off and make a move down into turn 1. And you know, that is what we're probably going to see most tonight, just the preferred method of passing, especially as this track cools off a little bit. You see the sun is setting off there in the background. See Nate Catilla here running just some practice laps, trying to probably get a better feel for the car, as we've actually concluded qualifying right now. So Kyle Zimmer is going to be your pole sitter tonight, with the only driver in the 20-4 second bracket. Of course, we saw a few of those in practice, but the only driver able to get down into that time bracket in qualifying. So we'll get the grid situated for you very shortly. Kyle Zimmer, like we just said, is your pole sitter tonight, and 2 is outside. We have Tanner Sharp, the hottest driver on the circuit right now, winning the last 2 races at Pocono and Michigan. So we'll see if he can continue that dominance later on. Peter.
Yeah, and on row number 2, we got that number 33 of Doug McCollum and the number 4 of Nate Catilla. 4 for 4. No, it isn't Wendy's. It is Nate Catilla on row 2.
Row number 3, we got the number 17 of Fernando Matos, and 2 is outside. Number 20 of Dave Wilson, one of his first few races back in the series.
On row number 4, it's the number 32 of Lee Wise. Watch that number 32 here tonight. We saw him running up on the high side in practice, and then starting alongside him on his outside will be the number 98 of Chris Reverge.
The 5th row is our last 2 qualifiers. Take time of the evening: Tim Masters, number 9 machine, and Johnny Berardi in the double 9, the 99.
And then rounding out your field will be Tom Johnson in the 56, AJ Digby in the 14, Alan Capers in the 13 will roll off from lucky number 13 spot. Travis Zudema and Brian Lowhead will round out your field. And Brian Lowhead, he's often starting last out of these drivers, but he enjoys doing so. Doesn't often qualify in that number 66 machine, as these drivers now starting to roll off. We'll get the green flag in 2 laps. It is under a mile long, so you do get 2 pace laps here around this 7/8 of a mile racetrack. Kind of a unique feature of this racetrack being 7/8 of a mile, Cameron. There's not very many other racetracks in the whole world that can say they're a 7/8 mile racetrack. It's kind of a unique feature of this track.
Yeah, and just like its counterpart Richmond, this really is a short track that races like a speedway, because not only is it almost at that threshold of being a speedway, just the way it's multi-grooved and the way it's very fast, and just you do reach pretty good speeds down that front stretch, that long curving front stretch. So really it's more how Richmond is described as being a short track that races like a speedway than Richmond itself is.
Yeah, and I was watching the apex speeds for these cars in practice. You know, it's up around 140, 145 miles an hour, which is really impressive. Some people will say, oh, it's a short track and aero doesn't matter, but when your apex speeds are 140 miles an hour, heck yes, aero does matter. So you're going to want to try and keep these race cars clean tonight if you can, without a doubt. As Kyle Zimmer now heads into turn number 3. Look at that number 3 just was outside Tanner Sharp. We know that Tanner's going to try and get the win here at Iowa Speedway. Kyle Zimmer was the only other winner at Iowa Speedway here in the SimPossible Racing League in the Truck Series last year. We'll see if he can repeat again here tonight. Pace car is off, getting set to go green flag racing. There is the green flag. Number 25 will lead them down. Looks like Tanner Sharp just had his nose ahead just a little bit when the green flag flew. But Zimmer did beat him to the line as they go up into turn number 1. Let's watch Tanner Sharp in the number 3. Tanner gets a huge run on the outside, and Zimmer got a little bit loose down there, Cameron.
Yeah, it looked like he got a little bit loose and he shoved up the track a little bit and actually got the push loose condition that we see here at the front. We see the 2-3 cars, the 3 and the 33 battling for the lead, but Tanner's going to get that good run off of turn number 4. So Doug McCollum's going to have to slide in behind. Actually, look at Dave Wilson. Started in the 6th position. He's already going up to the 3rd position right now, driving around the outside of Kyle Zimmer like he's standing still. That number 20 is on a move right now.
Yeah, Dave Wilson currently. Oh, we have a caution. There's a caution out on the racetrack. Oh, it's the number 99, Johnny Berardi. You can see both ends of that race car have received some damage. We'll go back and watch this replay here. Ooh, there was contact right in front of them with Tim Masters and Zunema, and then the 99 got into the corner. It's like he just didn't have any grip down there, and that car kind of washed up the racetrack, made contact with the number 9 there, Tim Masters.
Extremely hard hit on too. He pretty much got pitched in the wall head on about as much as you can here. So that car is well and used up, but 4 fast repairs for all these guys. He'll get that car back to the pits. Good thing he was still running after that hard of a hit, and he'll get it fixed up, ready to go.
Yeah, and it does appear that 99 might have clipped the apex on entry to the corner, and definitely hitting the apex here, or excuse me, the yellow line here can upset your car on the apron down there. So that might have been what caused that accident, but nonetheless, Berardi is on pit road to get that damage repaired. And in fact, we have a lot of cars coming down pit road, led by Doug McCollum in the 33. He was your 2nd place car, and now he is on pit road. There he is, as that crew is going to go to work. Ooh, Doug McCollum overshot his pit box, and he finally got into his pit stall. We'll see. He had a little bit of an advantage versus the other cars because he was the 2nd place car when he got on pit road. We'll have to see if that little mistake costs him, as you can see the left side's jacked up. Here comes AJ Digby, but doesn't look like McCollum's going to lose any spots. He's going to be the first car off pit road. Of course, he did lose a few spots because he was one of the only cars to come down pit road, but kind of a split decision getting down pit road. Billy Wise, Matos, Roberge, Catilla, Zimmer, Wilson, and Sharp all stayed out, and it does look like McCollum will be... Oh, McCollum's coming back down pit road, Cameron. Not quite sure what that's about, but he's coming down once again.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm not sure what happened there. He was in 2nd place, like you said, and everybody else who pitted was about 9th on back, and obviously maybe something not right with his hardware setup, or maybe, you know, it could be any type of... any number of things that's going on with that car, but either way, yeah, he is coming back down pit road. He's going to stop in his box. We'll see if he does anything here. It just looks like he's changing tires once again. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I guess we'll make a note of that and kind of check in on that a little later.
So that will move your 2nd place car, Doug McCollum, all the way to the tail end of the field, from 2nd to 15th in just about 3 laps. So like you said, Cameron, we'll keep tabs on that one and see if we can see if that 33 can work his way forward throughout this race. We are currently working lap number 5. We'll be 5 laps down as they cross the start finish line this time. Good to see AJ Digby in the field, kind of running midfield currently. In fact, he is the middleman currently in the 8th position, but now he will be the first car on 4 fresh tires. He'll be starting on the outside of the 4th row once we go back to green flag racing here in just about a minute or so, as the pace car lights have gone off.
And one thing I want to make a note of is that number 20 of Dave Wilson is going to be starting right on the outside line, where he made up all of his positions on the initial start. So we'll see if that plays to his advantage and maybe he can take the lead here.
Yeah, he was definitely lightning quick on that little green flag run that we did get. So keep an eye on that number 20 Cadbury machine. Nate Catilla, he hasn't lost any spots since the start of the race, currently running in the 4th position. And it'll be interesting to see if Kyle Zimmer can make up for that poor start of the race he had here on this restart. His pace car is off. Tanner Sharp will lead him down. Green flag back in the air here at Iowa Speedway.
Yeah, and it looks like a pretty good restart for that number 3 machine. Number 20 not able to get going as well as Tanner was. Tanner's going to have the advantage here in turns 1 and 2. Looks like, ooh, the car on the move is right there in the middle of the pack. That 14 of AJ Digby. He is the first car on 4 fresh tires, and he almost made it 3 wide there with the number 4 of Catilla, and I believe that's the number 98 of Chris Roberge. But thinking wisely of it, we are in lap 7 of the race, have plenty of laps to go. But that number 14 definitely showing some muscle here. And showing that tire, ooh, some contact there with Roberge and Catilla. Surprised it wasn't a wreck there because that car was hooked, and that definitely is not something you want to have happen, but that's going to shove AJ Digby down to the bottom side, and that might make him lose a few positions, but it looks like he's holding tough down there.
Well, that number 14 machine is on 4 fresh tires, and tire fall off here at Iowa Speedway is actually pretty drastic. Last night we had the ASRS series here, another series that we broadcast here on 3Wide TV, and the fall off was about 2 seconds over a run. So, you know, 4 fresh tires can definitely play to your advantage, and I'm sure AJ Digby's trying to use that up as he's finally been able to work his way around that number 98 of Chris Roberge. There is the number 32, Billy Wise. So we'll have to see what Digby can do on those 4 fresh tires versus the cars in front of him. At least for now, it does appear that the number 3 of Tanner Sharp has checked out just a little bit over Dave Wilson. That lead now currently sitting at about 0.4 of a second. But we've seen Tanner Sharp, once he gets out front and gets that clean air, we have seen him kind of run away with some races out there.
Yeah, he is the hottest driver on the circuit right now. Like you said, winning at both Pocono and Michigan, really dominating both races. So, you know, he is going to want to come out here and make that 3 in a row. Here's a battle here between Billy Wise and Alan Capers, and Billy Wise gets that. That is for the 7th position.
Yeah, and Tim Masters and Travis Zunema are going at it. You can see that number 9 on that high line. Man, he got a huge run up off the corner, close right up on the back bumper of Alan Capers, who we ride with here. And look at Masters, he's really backing up his corner to try and get a good run on exit. And he wasn't quite able to do so there because Zunema was able to shut the door on him. A little bit of a slide job there by that number 90 machine, but now Masters goes back to work on Zunema.
Yeah, and if we can go to the front 3 for a bit, these front 3 are running all drastically different lines here at the front. You see most of them running pretty high in 3 and 4, but down in 1 and 2, you're going to see the lowest car on the field or on the track is probably going to be that number 25 of Kyle Zimmer. He's running a lot lower than either Tanner Sharp or Dave Wilson are on that end of the speedway. And he's actually making good use of it. He's able to close in on the 20. You see the prevailing lines here in the turn 3 and 4 end of the speedway is about the middle to the high side.
We have an absolute whale of a battle for the 7th position right now. There are 3 wide down the front straightaway. Billy Wise to the outside, Alan Capers in the middle. Look at Zunema push way up the racetrack, almost getting to the side of Billy Wise. But Zunema now is under fire by Alan Capers. Like I said, they were 3 wide at the start-finish line. Those 3, ooh, a little bit of a nudge there by Zunema on the back bumper of Billy Wise. And oh, contact! And Zunema's around, no caution yet. He's done a complete 360, and he's going back straight. No caution here. We stay green flag here at Iowa. Man, that was kind of fortuitous, not bring out a yellow, not for Zunema. Zunema will have been hoping for a yellow, but there's that contact with the number 98 machine. Went through the grass, did a fantastic job of keeping that car going and keeping us under green flag.
Yeah, that was just a product of running out of racetrack right there. You had about 4 cars going for the same piece of racetrack, and that just was not going to work. But they're still going at it right here. Alan Capers, Billy Wise, and Tim Masters there. That's all for the 6th position on the racetrack. Billy Wise on that high side. Alan Capers sliding up a little bit. Almost some contact there, but here comes Tim Masters making it 3 wide. What a move for him. Down the front stretch, he's going to see if he can make it stick down into turn 1. It's very bumpy up there on that line right there, but I think he's going to have the position. What a good move by Tim Masters there.
I didn't even think there was a hole for that number 9 car to fit in, but Tim Masters proved me wrong there. That is a pretty big move, a little bit of a nudge there. The 13 and the 32 once again. Here comes Doug McCollum. Remember, he started tail end of the longest line under this last restart, and now he's worked his way now back up into the 7th position, at least for now. He's still got Billy Wise to his outside at number 33. He's going to sail it off into turn number 3 and move Doug McCollum back up into 7th for now. He's going to set his sights on that number 9 of Tim Masters in front of him. Look at this battle for 4th now. The 14 of AJ Digby's caught the 4 of Catilla. Looks like Catilla might have some left front damage there, as the 14 also scrapes the wall. We got those new sparks here in iRacing. A recent update has improved the way those sparks look, and don't they look good, Cameron?
Yeah, and you saw him right there off the back of the 25 car. He got in the wall off turn number 4 there, so he's going to be under fire from this battle behind him now. Here comes Nate Catilla on the bottom side. I don't think he's going to have the run down the backstretch, but we'll see how brave Nate Catilla is. 3 wide through 3 and 4. Catilla, Digby, and Zimmer. Zimmer on that extreme high side in the wall a little bit there, showing us those sparks once again. That's going to give Nate Catilla probably the advantage down into turn 1. He's going to drive it in the corner, slide up the racetrack. Ooh, that's too close for comfort. But they make it work somehow, some way, and all 3 of those cars are still going at it. And like we said, that is for the 3rd position.
Yeah, and over the last laps or so, AJ Digby has been the 2nd fastest car on the racetrack. Only faster than him is Tanner Sharp. So AJ Digby is looking to see if he can get around both Catilla and Zimmer here as they continue to run this battle a little bit further back. It's still going on. Oh, Tim Masters has lost some ground in the number 9 machine. He was in the 6th position. He slid back to 10th. Something must have happened there with
trouble!
him. Oh!
Big trouble.
The 4 and the 14 have gone around. I expect that to be a caution. Finally, the caution's thrown. But Digby, and we'll have to go back and see what happened there on the replay.
I was keeping track of this battle, and look at the 4 just shoved up into the wall right there, you see, and just bounced down into Digby right there, and that sends both cars flying through the grass, and Digby able to keep it straight. So, but there is a lot of damage on the right front of that car. He's going to want to come in and take a fast repair for that.
Yeah, and I was trying to see, ooh, I know what happened to Tim Masters as well. We'll go back and discuss that here in just a minute as you're right on board with Digby. I think Digby felt like he was giving Catilla enough room, and Catilla probably thought otherwise. You know, that was just kind of a coming together, kind of a racing incident. But getting back to the Tim Masters situation, he just hit those bumps in turn number 1 and just could not get through the center of the corner at all. He did it 2 laps in a row and lost a couple spots out of it. So definitely a tough break for Tim Masters, but he's going to come down, get 4 fresh tires here. Couple of drivers, no, just 1 driver staying out for now, but they're all led down by the number 3 of Tanner Sharp. As you see, Kyle Zimmer with a little bit of connection issues there. 3rd car in line. There was the number 13 of Alan Capers. He stayed out to lead a lap. Does indeed look like he did lead the lap, so he'll get an extra point for leading a lap, as all the drivers now hitting their pit box nice and neatly. Getting to your pit box is pretty difficult at this track, especially if you're one of those pit boxes down there towards the end of pit road, because it's curved and you have a lot of wheel to get that car into your pit box, and all of a sudden it can get your car sideways.
Yeah, as a driver myself, that is definitely something you think about, and those pit boxes on that curved end of the racetrack are just the bane of our existence, and I know you probably would agree with that, Peter. They just are so hard to navigate, and the 1 car to stay out, Alan Capers coming down pit road as well. And to speak of connection issues, like you mentioned earlier, 1 driver has fallen out of the race. Brian Lowhead actually was gone for about 5 laps and finally fell out, so that's definitely not good for his chances tonight.
Absolutely. Well, we will follow up on the Brian Lowhead situation here in just a minute, but we're going to step away for just a moment. We'll be right back with you.
the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Iowa Speedway. The pace car is pulling off right there. Immediately, we're going to get the green flag. Johnny Berardi electing to stay out. He is the one car to stay out, and the green flag is out. Everybody behind him on 4 fresh tires and a full load of fuel. We'll see how that plays to this turn 1 and 2. Looks like everybody getting around the 99 pretty well right now. And that's going to give the lead back to Tanner Sharp in the 3. He's been the dominant car of the day so far. We'll see if anyone can challenge him. But right now, that looks like that number 3 has a lot of speed in it, Peter.
Oh yeah, definitely. He got to the lead lightning quick once again, and that number 20, Dave Wilson, is kind of been hounding him, but hasn't been able to make inroads on that number 3 machine. And ooh, the number 20 might have scraped the wall. If he didn't scrape the wall, he had to back out of it just a little bit. He lost quite a bit of distance on that number 3 down the back stretch. Tries to make up for it in turns number 3 and 4. But look at Kyle Zimmer. Zimmer, of course, started on the pole for this race, and he's slid back to the 3rd position pretty early on in the first lap, and now he's trying to make inroads on the 2nd place of Dave Wilson. I gotta tell you though, Cameron, there's some pretty good racing a little bit further back in the pack between the number 9 of Tim Masters and the number 56 of Tom Johnson. They were side by side through turns number 3 and 4. But I just don't think Zimmer's quite able to get around that number 20 just yet.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that those front 2 are the dominant cars of the session right now. But of course, anything can change once this track descends further on into darkness. And we have to remember, Kyle Zimmer is your most recent short track winner at the Richmond Raceway. So, you know, he does know how to drive these tracks very well, obviously. And, you know, maybe once we get closer to darkness, that number 25 will come alive.
Without a doubt. Ooh, the number 66, Brian Lowhead, is back. He's trying to work his way back to the racing circuit. Not quite able to do so just yet. That number 66 sits on pit road. But last time by, Dave Wilson was just a little bit faster than Tanner Sharp. You see that number 66 sitting on pit road there. But looks like Dave has lost some ground this lap. So I think those two drivers kind of yo-yoing lap times up at the front, as the number 14 of AJ Digby. Digby's got some right side damage there, Cameron. And we talked about a little bit earlier, this track has some pretty high apex speeds and around 140 miles an hour. And really that can lead to issues with that right side damage due to downforce.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like we've been saying, this track he's not able to really gain. He's actually losing some time here and there. Has almost hit the wall off turn 2 a little bit, but maybe running there will help rubber in that groove as the night goes on, and you know, might help him later on in the race.
Brian Lowhead did come back to the racetrack, ran a few laps, and he's gone pit road. I'm wondering if that number 66 will be calling it a night here, but only time will tell. See this side-by-side battle. And now we look at the third place battle. Back to the side-by-side battle. Billy Wise there and Travis Zudema. Fernando Matos in the number 17. He's currently running in the 7th position. Kind of been a quiet night for Fernando Matos. Haven't really mentioned him much, but a good run for him to be up in the 7th position. Got a little bit of right front damage, but he's going to now see if he can get underneath Zudema. You can just see that low line just doesn't seem to have a decent amount of grip on entry, but Matos backed up his corner there, got a good run coming out of the corner, and was able to almost get around the number 90. If I think Billy Wise wasn't there, I think Matos would have been able to pull off that. Oh, Digby in the wall once again. That number 14 has just been flirting with that outside wall lap after lap. Oh, a little bit of contact between Matos and Zudema. I just took my eye off of Digby for a brief moment and saw the number 90 and the 17 had it coming together, but it wasn't enough to get the number 90 loose. As this time by Digby missed the wall, so I'll just see if Digby can continue to miss that outside wall. It's kind of been the bane of his season. A few self-inflicted wounds here and there, and we might be talking about AJ Digby, a multiple-time winner. A many-time winner, I should say, here in the B-Car Series, as this battle continues on between Wise, Matos, and Zudema. It's been a good battle, this.
Yeah, and you see right at the top of your screen there, the 98 Chris Burge also getting in the wall. For AJ Digby to kind of expand on what you said, that was a pretty big boy hit the last time. So definitely that car is not going to be getting any better to drive for him. So he's going to have to make sure to probably change up his entire driving style or his lines and everything to try to compensate for that damage that's going to no doubt affect the handling of that car. We're looking back from Billy Wise here at the number 90 of Travis Zudema. This battle for the top 5 still going pretty strong between himself and Fernando Matos. Here's Alan Capers a little bit further on in the pack. Doug McCollum in front of him. That's around the 8th position. Those two mostly purple cars going at it right now, and I'm quite the fan of both of those cars because purple is my favorite color, so a bit of a bias there. See Alan Capers on that low side, slid up the track a little bit. This battle for the 5th position still raging pretty hard though, and if these drivers go at it for much longer, they're going to bring Doug McCollum and Alan Capers into it. In fact, you can see them right there. They pretty much caught them. Ooh, contact! Billy Wise and Fernando Matos got together, and somehow that involved Alan Capers as well. Billy Wise and Alan Capers going to be the big losers in that little scuffle on track. But we were talking about how that was going to bring those two cars into the battle, and it really just kind of just ran out of room right there.
Yeah, I think Fernando and both Billy Wise, I think it's one of those things where they just ran out of room up off the corner, and probably the number 17 was pushing, and the number 32 was felt like he was holding his ground. Kind of just another racing accident here. Yeah, it looks like it actually thinks that maybe the 32 might have come down a little bit, the 17 might have come up a little bit, and that's where that contact was made. But it looks like Alan Capers, he probably got the biggest chunk of it in that number 13 machine. He lost quite a bit of ground because he came to pretty much a complete stop. But nonetheless, kind of no harm, no foul. I'm sure that those two drivers will come down and use a fast repair as we get somewhat close to the 1/3 distance in this race. All the drivers now coming down pit road, led by the number 3 of Tanner Sharp. Fernando Matos stays on the racetrack to lead a lap. And we'll have to see if Tanner Sharp can get in his pit box well once again this time. There's AJ Digby. I'm sure he'll want to get that right side damage fixed. The number 90 likewise. But Cameron, the crew, the Mountain Dew crew, goes to work on that number 3 machine, and Tanner got it in his pit box there perfectly.
Yeah, that's no doubt going to help him really keep his lead on the racetrack. He's pretty much been flawless all night, both on the pits. Ooh, we have somebody spun around on pit road. It looks like the 9 of Tim Masters is facing the wrong way. He's going to have to back up and make sure he doesn't get into anyone. Actually backs into the wall, pulling a little Greg Biffle right there, but looks like he might have to come down pit road again and get that car fixed up, but I'm not sure what happened there. Looks like he spun the tire, spun the tires and lost it. Actually ended up in Dave Wilson's pit box right there, so maybe just hanging around to say hi or whatever. How are you guys doing? Here's Fernando Matos coming down the pit road. As we expected, he got his lap led and is going to wisely come down, get 4 fresh tires, and that car fixed up most likely.
Yeah, without a doubt. That number 9 of Tim Masters, he decided to stay out on the racetrack after receiving that rear end damage. So up to see if that adversely affects that number 9 machine as this race continues to go on over time. But it's been a pretty interesting race here as we have now completed 49 laps out of the scheduled 166. It's a 145-mile race, kind of a odd number to run. However, it is a 7/8 of a mile racetrack, and there aren't many of those in NASCAR, so you kind of end up with a strange number unless you run 800 or 400 laps or something like that. But nonetheless, there is the number 3 of Tanner Sharp, leading the way once again behind that Roof RT12 pace car. And Cameron, I mean, it seems like he's had the pace tonight. If you're Dave Wilson, what can you do different to see if you can close in on Tanner Sharp?
I really think we've seen him trying that. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, he has been running a little bit higher on the racetrack than Tanner Sharp to try to just get a different line on him, stay out of that number 3's arrow wake, and try to get some downforce on that nose. It's not really working for him though, because I think Tanner is running exactly where he needs to be on the racetrack right now, and really not allowing Dave to get any have any options on the track right now. So I think his best bet is going to be try to get in front of him on a restart, or get that good run on the high side through 1 and 2. And if he can get in front of the 3, he might have a shot to hold Tanner off. But I think while Tanner is out front, he's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, and you know, I'm curious to know if the number 20 of Dave Wilson is saving his tires just a little bit, hoping to see a green flag run. Last night in the ASRS series, we only had 3 cautions, and just because this track is fairly wide open and has, you know, variable banking, it tends to give some green flag racing for at least for a short track. So, you know, maybe that's what Dave Wilson is thinking about here, as we have 115 laps to go once we go back to green, and a lap's time we'll have 114. So that lap count still quite high, still plenty of time for these drivers to either make their way forward or assert themselves as the dominant car. But for now, it has been Tanner Sharp who's led pretty much all but I think 2 laps in the first 52 or so laps that we've run now. Pretty impressive run for Tanner Sharp. I want to keep an eye on the number 33, Doug McCollum. He's back in the top 5. We'll be starting right behind the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer. Watch that number 33 Epilepsy Sucks machine on this restart. His green flag is back in the air. Tanner Sharp didn't get the greatest of restarts. Dave Wilson to his outside. They're going to be side by side going into turn number 1. But Dave's going to run that high line much higher. Going to try and do the crossover move. Here comes Dave Wilson now on the inside. Oh, caution is out.
Yeah, looks like the 33 of Doug McCollum in trouble there on the backstretch. Some rear end damage there. He definitely hit the wall pretty big there. We'll have to see what happened. Get the replay queued up right here. And looks like he's 3 wide there, almost with the 90 of Zudema. And Zudema just kind of shoves up off the corner off turn number 2 and gets into Doug McCollum there. Backs up into the wall right there. And there's your caution.
Yeah, that number 33 has hung around, and man, just as I was saying that number 33 is back in the top 5, now he's going to have to restart his move through the field once more. He's going to have to restart back there. He's currently scored in the 14th position out of the cars we have running, and Brian Lowhead in the 66. We said he was off and on pit road a couple of times. Well, he is out there. He's the only car a lap down, so if he gets lucky, and I mean really lucky, he can score you know, a couple more lucky dogs and see if he can work his way back up somewhat close to being on the lead lap. In fact, he is your lucky dog there. He is right at the top of your screen. You'll see him flash by your race leaders here in about a second. There he goes. And for Brian Lowhead, man, it's one of those races. It's an uphill battle for him, but hopefully when it's all said and done, it will be worth his while to have stayed out there on the racetrack, and I know he will have some fun running some laps. It's always tough, Cameron, when you're in a race and all of a sudden you have some connection issues or something of the sort, and all of a sudden you have this insurmountable mountain to climb and kind of can take the life out of you sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially for him, he's one of those drivers that really is very low key in his approach. He doesn't tend to make a lot of noise throughout the race, but somehow always ends up with a pretty decent finish. And he's, barring some existential circumstances, he's probably not going to get that day being 17 laps down. But that does remind me of a race I do believe you were in, Peter, back in the NR03 days, a long time ago. We were in a race at Richmond, and I fell out and lost about 11 laps and got them all back through lucky dogs, and actually ended up winning the race because it was one of those like Wreckfest type races where we just had so many cautions. Anything really is possible, and I don't want to say that because that would also mean this would be a pretty caution-filled race, but we're not even at halfway yet, so really anything can happen.
Yeah, anything can and will happen. I mean, I remember back in the early iRacing days, back before the Lucky Dog was even a thing, I remember in a race at Richmond, very similar to this, another race at Richmond, where I was down 3 laps. Had the car to beat. I had got a fantastic setup from my then teammate, Justin Brooks. And had this fantastic setup, man. I'll tell you what, that thing was lightning quick. And I was able to work my way back from 3 laps down because I had fallen out under a caution and didn't end up winning that race. But I'll tell you what, I had a few drivers pretty upset with me because I had to race my way through the field to get my laps back. I had to get them back the hard way. And, a couple drivers were upset with me saying, why is this lap down car racing with me? But you know what? I didn't wreck anyone and earned myself about a 7th place finish when otherwise it would have been in the 20s. So that was back in the day and on the iRacing service.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to our chatters. We have a couple chatters in chat. Actually, one driver, Will Wursler, from one of the series of 3YTV broadcasts, races in ASRS. So welcome, Will. I hope you're enjoying the race so far. And I believe we also have GOM 1600 pulling for, I believe that's one of our regulars in chat. So good to see you here as well. So thank you so much for joining us and hanging out and all that stuff. But we are 1 lap to green. All these drivers doubling up for another restart. And last time we saw Dave Wilson almost make the move down the backstretch. Of course, he probably would have had a good chance if the caution not come out, but definitely doing exactly what we said. He needs to try to get ahead of that 3 on the restart, get a good restart, and try to do something, because if that 3 gets cleared off turn number 2 or really off turn number 4 around the next lap, it's going to be an uphill mountain to climb for that 20 car.
Without a doubt, pace car lights are off. That rough RT12 pace car dives down onto pit road. The race once again in the hands of the number 3 of Tanner Sharp. Green flag back in the air here at Iowa Speedway. And Tanner got a pretty good restart there, but as did Dave Wilson. Wilson not as good of a restart as last time, but he's going to hold tough on that outside. Going to see if he can stay with that right rear quarter panel of the number 3, but he cannot. Here comes the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer. He's going to see if he can close in on Dave Wilson. Look at all those drivers now running the high line around turns number 3 and 4. But no one able to make a move just yet. Here comes the number 14 of AJ Digby. He filled a little hole left open by Kyle Zimmer. He's going to try and make the move, unable to do so just yet. See if he can use that momentum that he gained there on the high line down the back stretch, see if he can make a move on Zimmer, but still pretty much single file up at the front for now. There's some good racing. Oh, contact in the back! It's the number 99 and the 32 Billy Wise hard in the inside wall. And both sides of that number 32 are going to be dinged up. He went for it right through the grass after contact with Johnny Berardi. Go back and watch this one on the replay. And you can see the 32 is trying to get underneath the number 99, washes up just a little bit, and they bounce off of each other. And that number 32 did everything he could to try and keep it off the inside wall, but unfortunately couldn't. But we do stay green as that was off the racing surface.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not the best situation for Billy Wise, but I think we will probably have another caution in this race. Of course, I might have just jinxed him, so I'm sorry, Billy, if I did. But see, AJ, Digby, and Kyle Zimmer still going at it here for the 3rd position. AJ on that low side, see if he can make a move into turn 1. But look at that run that the 25 is able to get. As long as he can stay out of those bumps, those bad bumps up there on the top side of the racetrack. He actually scrapes the wall down the backstretch, kind of just showing us the sparks here on 3Wide TV, showing how good they look. And you were very right, Peter. They do look fantastic. And Travis Zudeman there, we haven't talked too much about him tonight. He's made his way up to the 5th position, started in 14th, so a very good run for that MS-sponsored number 90 car. And really showing some muscle right now. He's really got himself up to this top, this battle for the 2nd place on back.
And driver of the number 3, Tanner Sharp, has picked out up at the front. He's about a 10th.5 faster than everyone else on the racetrack. Pretty impressive drive. Oh, Zimmer in the wall. The 14 gets into him hard and the inside wall. That number 14 catches air on his roof, flipping across the racetrack. And that is a tough break for AJ Digby. There's no way to get out of that one but a toe. And that escalated very, very quickly. Go back and watch this one on the replay. Zimmer clips the wall right there, and poor old Digby had nowhere to go and slams into the inside wall. And that number 25 did a little tail whip, kind of like a Eradicator or Ratata, and flipped that number 14 upside down.
And that's just another prime example of the AJ Digby luck. Really just nowhere to go right there, and look at that hit into the outside wall. If that didn't kill the motor, then he would have been pretty lucky there. But like you said, that number 25 kind of tail whipping around flipped him on his roof, and it was over from there. So that's going to be a huge detriment to his chances in this race. He's going to go at least 2 laps down with that toe. He's as far away from pit road as you could possibly be right there where he ended up. So definitely not the way, not what he wanted for in this race right now.
And I hadn't seen that, of course, that being the gyro cam, which is featured on 3Wide TV quite a bit. But those sparks with the pavement, that was pretty cool. But all your leaders are on pit road as we speak. There is your race leader, Tanner Sharp. You see that number 20 on the left side of the screen. That's Dave Wilson. Every crew now going to work on the right side. Now on the left side of that number 3, here comes the Dave Wilson, but he's not able to do anything with that one. So Tanner Sharp will hold on to the race lead, except for the number 98. That, of course, being Chris Roberge. Roberge staying out there on the racetrack, he will get a lap led. The Canadian driver now drives down onto pit road to get some fresh tires. It'll be interesting to see how many of these drivers decide to do a fast repair. Travis Zudema had quite a bit of damage on that number 90 machine, and it does indeed look like he's keeping some fast repairs because he had a very lengthy pit stop. So Zudema, who'd worked his way into the 5th position, and actually he'd benefited from that accident between Digby and Zimmer, worked his way up into 3rd because of that. He stayed on pit road, got some damage repaired, keeping those fast repairs in his back pocket for later in this race. We're not yet to halfway, and Zudema now will have to work his way up through the field.
Absolutely, and real quick while we're under caution, I want to go ahead and give a quick shout out. I was asked by the driver of the 13, Alan Capers. He wanted me to give a shout out to Jen Campbell, co-owner at BTR Motorsports, apparently watching tonight and wanted me to give her a shout out. So Jen, if you're watching, that's awesome. Thank you so much for watching. Alan Capers doing a pretty good job right now, running in the 3rd or 7th position, keeping that car pretty clean, actually in 6th, so even better. But yeah, definitely keeping that car clean. And Alan is a very I want to say low-key driver himself. He doesn't really make a lot of noise during the early stages of the race too much, but he's one of those drivers who always somehow manages to get a pretty decent run in the end. Actually has won a race this year in the Monday series, so It was on a short track as well, so definitely don't count him out ever. He always managed to find his way up to the front.
AJ Digby has worked his way back to the racing surface. He's used one of his fast repairs after going upside down, but that number 14 is currently scored 2 laps down, pretty much like you said, Cameron. And he has kind of a mountain to climb. Hopefully he can get some lucky dogs and get back on the lead lap. Good news for Digby is he is the only car, 2 laps down. There's no cars 1 lap down, and Brian Lowhead, the only other driver eligible for the lucky dog. But he's 16 laps down, so Digby's kind of got a monopoly on the lucky dogs, at least for the next 2 cautions. Assuming there are 2 more cautions in this race, and if there are, Digby can get back to the lead lap as pace car lights are off once more. And here comes the number 20 of Dave Wilson back to the outside of number 3. We've seen these 2 side by side for most restarts here tonight, and they're going to re-rack them and see what they can do. Look at Fernando Matos currently sitting in the 3rd position in that number 17 machine. And Nate Catilla started 4th, currently running 4th in the number 4 machine. So 4, 4, and a 4 there for those people taking notes at home. I don't know how we can get the 4th 4 to get 4 4s, 4, 4, 4, but only time will tell.
And Nate Catilla really has been about 4th the entire race. Really hasn't gotten much closer to the front than that, but hasn't dropped back much further than that either. So doing a great job running in his car number position. Pace car is off. We'll see how good that 20 car can get going on the outside line. Again, green flag is out, and it looks like the 20 gets a very good restart. He's actually nose ahead of Tanner Sharp going into turn 1. We'll see if that plays good to his chances. As I say, Nate Catilla hasn't gotten much faster or much higher than 4th. He actually is in 3rd, but washed the nose out. Dave Wilson on the outside of Tanner Sharp. We'll see if he can actually do something down here into turn number 3. He's hanging very tough, but I think Tanner Sharp is just too strong on that middle line. He's going to clear Dave Wilson here off turn number 4. Actually, it looks like Dave Wilson actually got a little bit loose there, but really that number 3 car is just so incredibly strong around this entire racetrack. There's not much anyone can do with him at the moment, but either way, have some racing back here behind for the 3rd position. Doug McCollum actually started in the 3rd position, has made his way back up there, and very good run for him. We saw him with some trouble earlier, taking multiple pit stops, doing a good job to get his track position back.
Yeah, Doug McCollum now 3rd, but look at this gaggle of cars from Billy Wise on back. Billy Wise currently running in the 6th position, but look at Kyle Zimmer to his outside just at the bottom of your screen as they flash on by. The number 25 of Zimmer, he's to the outside of Billy Wise. Remember, Zimmer was involved in that last caution, and Zimmer's trying to work his way up into the 6th position already. So Zimmer working his way to the front, which is not too surprising. Zimmer started on pole in this race. He's been very quick, and there's another driver who's been very quick, AJ Digby in the number 14 as he gets around Nate Catilla. Catilla has been sliding back here, not quite sure if it's that damage on that number 4 machine. You can see it almost looks like it might be crabbing a little bit down the straightaway. It might just be the way those fenders are knocked in, but there's definitely some skew to that bodywork as now he's 3 wide in the middle. Tim Masters to his outside, the 98 of Reverse to his inside, and Nate Catilla definitely struggling at this point in the race.
And how fitting is it, as I say, that he was doing a good job. We've seen Tim Masters get in the wall a little bit there. Battle between Kyle Zimmer and Alan Capers there in turn 1. Both drivers slide up the track quite a bit. Capers running that middle line, and that is up for the 5th position. Capers has it. Kyle Zimmer wants it, but not able to get it just yet. But like I was saying, how fitting is it that, as I was saying, that Nate Catilla was doing a good job up there in 4th. He really has fallen like a rock all the way back to 12th. I think, like you said, that car is quite a bit damaged. Is a little bit askew on the bodywork, so he's definitely going to want to come in and get that thing fixed up because it definitely is not handling it right now.
We are just about 6 laps away from the halfway mark here in tonight's Iowa 145 for the SimPossible Racing. Oh, the number 13's around. Zimmer's coming back up the racetrack, contact with Billy Wise. And, oh man, looks like the 9, Tim Masters had to hit the wall to avoid a spinning number 25 machine. Zimmer is still unable to get that car pointed in the right direction. AJ Digby, though, will be your lucky dog. Go back and watch this on the replay. Got a little bit of a hip check there on the side of that number 13 machine, and number 13 came back across and cleaned out that number 25. And ooh, number 99 of Johnny Berardi there. I didn't see that contact when the wreck was going on, but definitely Johnny Berardi got a piece of it just there at the end.
That was really the wreck of blindsiding, because you see there Kyle Zimmer got blindsided by the 13, and then Billy Wise got blindsided by Kyle Zimmer's car spinning back up the racetrack. So a lot of rear end damage there from that contact, but good to see everybody able to drive away and not have to take a tow.
I believe that number 14 of AJ Digby will be the lucky dog. I'll have to go back and confirm that. You know what? I don't think Digby will get the lucky dog. He actually hit the wall. He's got some right front damage. And I think that is going to disqualify him from the lucky dog. So that's going to be a tough break for AJ Digby if he does not get the lucky dog here. You just briefly saw some right side damage on that number 14 that he accrued in that accident. Does indeed look like he's getting the lucky dog, however, which is kind of surprising. Usually iRacing will disqualify you if you're involved in an accident in any way, shape, or form. But nonetheless, your leaders are on pit road, led by Tanner Sharp once more. The number 33 of McCollum right behind him, though. That number 33 is working his way up nice and slowly. Worked his way up to third once more. Not able to get the pit stop he needed, though. He's going to come out pit road third, behind Tanner Sharp and Dave Wilson. Kyle Zimmer currently stayed out on the racetrack. I think he will come down pit road this time, I'm sure, because he's got a ton of damage on that number 25 machine in that accident there. And indeed, he is on pit road. So pretty much everything in order the way they came out, the way they came in. Definitely up there at the front. A couple of drivers having lengthy pit stops. Johnny Berardi, Billy Wise, Tom Johnson. In fact, Tom Johnson is in danger of going a lap down here. He will fall a lap down in that number 56 machine. So that's going to be pretty interesting because AJ Digby in the number 14, he's now one lap down. So we're actually going to have a battle for the lucky dog spot between the 56 and the 14 here. So we'll have to keep that in mind. Watch to see how that all plays out. Johnson's still sitting on pit road, so not sure if he's out of fast repairs. I doubt that. Maybe he's having some issues with his equipment, or you know what, Cameron? Sometimes nature calls when you're in the middle of one of these races, and hopefully you're close to a place where you can do what you need to do.
Yeah,
I know that's happened to pretty much all of us at some point in a sim race.
Actually, in the 3-wide Daytona race, I missed the start because I had to go do something. So definitely something that us drivers always have to keep in mind. But I do want to kind of go on that 14. He did not actually get the lucky dog. I think you were correct, and he was disqualified from it. But either way, he is going to get the... Oh, he should have got the wave around. Okay, well, something's going weird here. Apparently, he did get the lucky dog from race control, so I'm not sure what's going on here. He is just dropping back there. I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep track of that. But there probably will, like you said, Peter, there will be a battle between him and Tom Johnson for the next lucky dog if we get a caution.
Well, Tom Johnson had to stay on pit road an extra lap, so he's actually laps down in the number 56 machine. So we'll have to see if Tom can battle back from being 2 laps down. Digby's almost done most of the work, as we will be halfway, this time in 2 laps. Brian Lowhead there in the number 66, I think he's going to get the wave around here. He currently finds himself 15 laps down. And there he goes. So Tanner Sharp is your race leader. Second place is Dave Wilson. Third place, Doug McCollum. Fourth place, Chris Roberge. Fifth place, Fernando Matos. Tim Masters, Travis Zudman, Nick Catilla, Alan Capers, and Johnny Berardi round out your top 10 here as we are crossing the halfway distance this time in the Iowa 145 here for the SimPossible B-Car Series. And it's been a pretty entertaining race. Gotta say, Tanner Sharp has been the dominant car of the race, leading pretty much every green flag lap. In fact, I believe he has led every green flag lap in this one. But nonetheless, it's been an entertaining race with lots of side-by-side battles, especially in the mid-pack. And we'll see more of that, I'm sure, once we go back to green flag racing, as the rough pace car heads down pit road once again. Race back in the hands of the number 3 machine. And the green flag is unfurled for that bright green number 3 machine. Look at Dave Wilson in the number 20. He beat him to the line ever so slightly. And Dave Wilson's got as good of a run as he's had all night long, trying to pinch down that number 3 machine coming out of turn number 2. And Dave Wilson has motored that number 20 machine out front. The number 3 had to back up just a little bit on entry to the corner. The number 3 gets a huge run coming out of turn number 4. They're side by side right at the line. And Tanner Sharp leads the lap once more. Oh, contact number 33 sideways. He saved it. He got into the wall a little bit, but man, oh man, Doug McCollum using his brakes to keep that number 33 going straight, Cameron. That was crazy.
Yeah, a very good save by that 33. I think there was some contact there with the 98 of Chris Reberge, and yes, there was into turn number 1. You saw right there. Great job. Just lock the brakes up and use that wall as kind of a crutch to straighten it out a bit. Not any damage significant whatsoever. Battle for the lead once again. Tanner Sharp will not let this lead go away. He drove it in on the 20, but not able to do anything just yet. But if he's able to pull this off, I think that cements the 3 as absolutely unbeatable tonight almost, but definitely not letting Dave Wilson get too far ahead and wants to get that lead back. Doing a very good job on that low side of the racetrack. He is actually nose ahead of Dave Wilson ever so slightly. Ooh, contact! Both leaders in the wall! Or they both... Oh no!
Yellow flag back in the air. Man, that's as big of a pileup as we've seen all night. And the 98 and the 3 getting together after the 20 and the 3 got together. We'll go back and watch this one on replay. There's the initial contact. Dave Wilson getting into the wall with Tanner Sharp, and then Sharp was trying to come back down for the apex, and the number 98 was trying to fill that spot. They make contact, and everyone goes around. A couple of other cars getting involved there. So 13 of Alan Capers driving away from it. But, man, just as this race was starting to get exciting there up at the front, we're back under the caution flag.
Yeah, absolutely, and really nothing to see on board from here from the 98. There's nothing he could have done. Tanner Sharp just came down the racetrack just trying to get his line situated, of course, after the contact with Dave Wilson, and really kind of drove like there wasn't a car there. So no fault of Chris Reberge, and I'm sure Tanner was just trying to get going again, so it's not like he did anything intentional, but just bad circumstances right there with how everything went.
And we have seen this happen to Tanner Sharp before, and now that he's back in the pack, he's going to have to be patient to see if he can work his way back up forward. He's got plenty of pace to do so, but he does have a banged-up number 3 machine, at least for now, as there he goes. I'm sure he'll be using a faster pair. You see Doug McCollum there use a faster pair. Kyle Zimmer on the pole does have that first pit box to his advantage, but first man off pit road will be Dave Wilson. Second car off pit road will be the 25 of Kyle Zimmer, then Matos, Catilla, McCollum. Tanner Sharp still sitting on pit road. He finally rolls off in front of Alan Capers and Chris Reberge. And then behind him, Johnny Berardi. Looks like we did have a couple of drivers who decided to stay out. One of those is the number 9 there of Tim Masters. So we'll see who else decides to stay out. See if we can get a wave around. AJ Digby finds himself 2 laps down once more. Tom Johnson looks like he got the lucky dog. He's now only 1 lap down, but Digby's 2 laps down again. So Tom Johnson and Digby have kind of fallen into hard times here right in the middle part of this race. But nonetheless, they're going to try and make their way back to the lead lap at some point, I am sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of confused on the situation with the 14 because he was 1 lap down and was on the lead lap. Actually, looked like he was going to take a wave around or something, but apparently the games told him to go back in the pack for whatever reason. So I don't know. I really don't know what happened there, but either way, yeah, like you said, kind of back to where he was just a couple cautions ago, being 2 laps down.
Yeah, he'll have to climb that mountain once more. Looks like Brian Lowhead. He's going to take the wave around once more. Not too surprised there, as Lowhead doesn't have the opportunity to take or get the lucky dog at this present moment in time. So he's just going to have to keep taking the wave around and hope it sticks, as we still have just under halfway left in this race. Well, just as I say he'd take the wave around, he's dropping to the tail of the longest line. So not quite sure what's up with that, but Lowhead will slide back. Oh, I know why. It's because Billy Weiss, he's being scored your race leader. I missed that out of this whole sequence, but Billy Weiss did stay out on the racetrack, and he is your new race leader. So interesting to see a new driver up front. We'll have to see if Billy can hold on to this one once we go back to green flag.
Yeah, real quick before we go green again, can we get a camera shot on the 99 of Johnny Berardi? That left front tire is not turning on that machine. So that's an iRacing glitch that's been around for a while. I'm sure that tire is functioning as a tire, but definitely looks a little crazy right there, but that thing definitely is not going to blow out or anything.
Yeah, I know that we now hear about Michelin having a airless tire, but I don't think that's what they're intending on have an airless tire not rotating. But nonetheless, that number 99 machine still rolling out there, currently in the 11th position. Good old iRacing and their graphical glitches here and there. It'll be interesting to see
three-wheeling it.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. Three-wheeling it here on 3Wide TV. It'll be interesting to see if the iRacing glitch of sparks and sparks appearing kind of at random times goes away now that they have these new sparks. I know that one was around a while ago, and I think they had fixed it, but I'm not 100% sure. But nonetheless, now with new sparks, only time will tell as pace car lights are off once more. Billy Wise, the number 32 machine, will lead us back to green. He's got the number 20 of Dave Wilson. Wilson was able to take the lead there just before that caution flag came out. He will now have to pass Billy Wise as green flag back in the air. Looks like a little bit of a stack up there in the middle of the pack. Tim Master goes to the outside of Alan Capers. They go 3 wide down the front stretch. They all work it out. Going into the corner. Oh, contact! Nick Catilla. Fernando Matos is in the wall. And Alan Capers is going around. Contact.
Oh, huge wreck.
Catilla. Oh my goodness, Tim Masters somehow got through that, but there's 5 cars turning around backwards on the backstretch.
Absolute parking lot here at Iowa Speedway, and you saw AJ did be involved, so a bad night has gone worse, but just a lot of cars going for the same position there. You saw the 4 Mick Hilla gets kind of turned around a little bit, got the 13 of Alan Capers, and it was on from there. Everybody just getting involved there on the backstretch, and that's really the second moderately large incident we've seen tonight, multiple cars involved.
Without a doubt. I'm going to hopefully see if we get an onboard camera with the number 9 of Tim Masters, because he might need a new pair of underwear after sneaking by the 13 and the 14. Pretty much everyone who was all spinning around him. Good bit of driving there by the number 9 of Tim Masters. So let's see if we can get this. Here we go. On board with that number 9 machine. You see this wreck unfold right in front of him. He just kind of goes for a spot where there's no cars. Oh, barely squeaks through there. I'm sure he's glad to not see any more damage on that number 9 machine. Definitely counting his blessings after that one.
That is definitely a candidate for one of those monthly iRacing compilations right there.
You see Alan Capers, man, he just got caught in the right rear. It upset that car. He did everything he could to keep on straight, but in the end ended up in the inside wall amongst all those other cars as well. Fernando Matos was really the first car I think I saw in the wall, and it was the 4 and the 3 that got together. Oh, riding on board AJ Digby. That's not what Digby needed to see, because Digby, he was 2 laps down, and he needed a lucky dog. He won't get it this time. Doug McCollum in the number 33, ladies and gentlemen, has taken that car to the garage. Don't think there was any damage on the number 33, so that maybe Doug has just, I don't know, either this race is running too long or maybe he has something else to get to. But Doug McCollum has left the show tonight.
I went back and watched it, and it was right before we went green. He kind of pulled off on the front stretch grass and just kind of retired from the race right there. So not sure what happened there. He was having some connection issues a few seconds before that, so maybe that something to do with it. But either way, that 33 was a fast car tonight, so it's a shame to see that.
Absolutely. He started in the 3rd position, and now Doug McCollum has retired from the event. Brian Lowhead in the number 66. Unfortunately, he was hoping to get the wave around. Doesn't look like he will get it this time. Once more in that number 66 machine. He'll stay 15 laps down. At least he will be able to close in on Doug McCollum and gain a spot. Still riding around the racetrack. Putting in some pretty good times as well in that number 66 machine. I've been watching lap times on my Joel real timing application, and he's been pretty sporty. So just unfortunate that he's 15 laps down.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it wasn't for the other other few cars that were laps down, he probably would be, well, definitely would be a few positions closer than he is. And Alan Capers taking out the Cone's life right there, as we always see him here on 3-One TV. He is the Cone killer himself. So mark another tally for another life of a Cone lost. We'll have a moment of silence here, which is now ended because Cones are not animate objects and their lives don't matter.
At least they're movable. I remember back in the early days of iRacing, I don't think you could actually hit a cone and have it move. So at least that's another thing that iRacing has brought to the service. Nate Catilla, just kind of want to give a shout out to Nate in the number 4 machine. He actually has a spotter here tonight. Wayne Lowe is spotting for that number 4 machine. So that's pretty cool to see. In iRacing, you can have a real life spotter, and Nate is taking advantage of that feature. Got Wayne spotting for him here tonight, and he's currently riding in the 8th position. Started 4th in this one a whole 97 laps ago. His pace car lights are off. We'll go back to green flag this time, and once we do go back to green flag racing, we will have 68 laps remaining in this one.
Look right there, right behind the 32 of Billy Wise. It's near Sharp. He was wrecked a few cautions ago back in the pack and has already made his way up to the 4th position.
Yeah, he's done that mighty quick in that number 3 machine. I know he had some contact there with Nate Catilla, but that number 3 machine appears to be undamaged, and we'll see what he can do on this restart. His pace car is off once more, race in the hands of Dave Wilson, the number 20 Dairy Milk machine. Green flag back in the air. All those cars racing past it over 100 miles an hour as they head off into turn number 1. Billy Wise trying to hold on in that number 32 machine. He's going to have that number 3 of Tanner Sharp right behind him, but Tanner Sharp is boxed in just a little bit.
Ooh, trouble!
Contact
Big trouble.
Between the 3 and the 32. Sharp was looking for a spot there, and it wasn't really open. And those two cars got into the wall. A ton of damage on both the 32 and the 3. Go back and watch this on the replay. There's that
trouble
initial
again.
Contact.
We'll get back to that as we're done with the replay. We are now. Tim Masters in the 9 was spun around, I believe, off the bumper of the 3 or of the 32. One of those two cars was the instigator of that incident right there. I believe it was Billy Wise, and bit of netcode there, and oh, look at that, AJ Digby involved once again, so he's not going to get the lucky dog that he so desperately needs. So just absolute torrid luck for that 14 car. And that number 3 and the 32, I'm not sure what happened there on the restart. It looks like there might be some disagreement between those two drivers, because they were kind of having some contact under yellow. Of course, those two were the instigators of the first incident on the backstretch where Tanner got pinched up into the wall, so maybe a bit of words being had there.
Yeah, when we were actually watching that first replay, that initial contact between the 3 and the 32, the 3 gave the 32 a pretty good shove in the corner, and it almost looks like the 32 might have brake checked the number 3 down the straightaway, and that might have been what led to that contact. So we'll have to follow up if the 3 and 32 play nice for the rest of this one, as your leaders are on pit road, led by Dave Wilson. Looks like we do have a couple of drivers staying out, including Nate Catilla, Alan Capers, and company, which is not what AJ Digby was wanting to see, because if I was AJ Digby, I'd probably take the wave around at this moment in time. Doesn't seem like you're having any luck with the lucky dog. But we'll see this race off pit road with the 32. Billy Wise missed his pit box, had to back up just a little bit. First man off pit road will be Dave Wilson. He's followed by the 25 of Kyle Zimmer, Chris Roberge, third driver off pit road, then Tanner Sharp, Fernando Matos, and Tom Johnson.
And really, this has been the tale of races almost for Tanner Sharp. Ever since he ever since he lost the lead under green to Dave Wilson, it's really just kind of snowballed for him. It really hasn't gotten much better. So fast out in the beginning of the race, but just has not had the fortitude of the good luck to get back to the lead, and has been involved in a few incidents since then. So really, probably not too happy in that car right now.
We've seen that a couple times out of that number 3 in this season in the B car. I mean, I can't put my finger on some of those races, but I know that it's happened to Tanner Sharp this year a couple times. So we'll have to see what he can do on this restart. He's currently being scored in the 7th position. A couple drivers did stay out in front of him. So we'll have to see what he can do from 7th here on the restart.
And of course, Tanner, a very, very aggressive driver himself, having raced with him. If he's back there in 7th or 8th or whatever, knowing that he has a car as fast as he has tonight, able to get out there and absolutely win the race, no questions asked. He's going to do what he can to get through the field as quickly as possible. And, that can upset a few drivers pretty easily, because he will make it 3-4 wide on the restart and make some contact and all that stuff. So he's going to do what he can to try to get through the field as quickly as possible, though.
Without a doubt, but Mack under caution here at the 7/8 of a mile Iowa Speedway. Quite a bit of ethanol is made close to Iowa Speedway. A lot of corn around these parts. You see the number 13 going down and killing yet another cone. Here under caution, that cone almost made its way back up onto the racing surface for other drivers to hit, but everyone avoids it. But Alan Caper is currently being scored in the 2nd position. Johnny Berardi is 3rd. The first car on 4 fresh tires, that would be Dave Wilson. He'll be restarting 4th position, the 2nd car on the outside line. But we still have a couple of laps of pacing here left to go. So we'll have to see how this all plays out. But once we go back to green, I'd say we probably will have 61 laps to go, which is plenty of laps. Though at least I should say they have plenty of fuel to make 61 laps. So I don't expect to see these drivers needing fuel if we get a long green flag run. But long green flag runs have been hard to find here tonight. As a little bit of connection issues there with the number 13 of Alan Caper is going to be restarting on the outside of the front row here. Not the best spot to have connection issues, being right up at the front.
And we do have yet another retirement from the race to report. Travis Zudema has taken his car to the garage. Not sure what happened there. I don't think there was much damage on the car or whatever. I don't think he ran out of fast repairs. Might have just got tired of the way the race was going and called it a day. But either way, that car was pretty fast early on in the race. We saw him up in the top 5 early on, and that's another shame for him to be done from the event. But we're about to get going green here. The first 3 cars on the racetrack, that would be Capers, Catilla, and Berardi, not taking tires on the pit stop. But we have green flag. Alan Capers not able to get going whatsoever. Or actually, I think that Nick Catilla might have jumped the gun a little bit, because he absolutely stopped dead in his tracks right after the restart. That was a pretty wonky restart. Either way, here comes Dave Wilson on the outside of Alan Capers for the lead. Nate Catilla already sliding back to about the 5th position. Here comes Tanner Sharp on his outside. He's going to be looking for more, certainly, but Dave Wilson not able to get by Alan Capers yet. Alan Capers doing a good job on those older tires to stay out front for as long as he can, but I think the time will tell. Ooh, trouble! It's like Kyle Zimmer and Nate Catilla getting into it in turn number 1, and I think that AJ Digby lost yet another lucky dog there.
I don't know. It was really close. We'll have to see if iRacing gives it to him, but my, oh my, that was close between the 14 there. Go back and watch this on the replay. Yeah, the 14 looks like he just got into the back of the 25, and Tanner Sharp was involved there again. And so Tanner's got some front end damage. Doesn't have a lot of front end damage on that number 3 machine, so it's definitely doesn't look like it's going to be too bad. But watch the number 4 enter stage left here, and oof, yeah, Tanner got a couple knocks out of it, but I think he will be okay. Whoa! Number 14 squeaking through. I think he's okay. We'll have to see if he gets the lucky dog or not, but AJ Digby almost had that lucky dog taken away from him once more here tonight at Iowa Speedway.
Yeah, I think at this point you can almost write a book on the 14's lucky dog woes for this race. It's just been one thing after another, but I think, like you said, he should be good. In my opinion, iRacing, just give him the lucky dog. He's fine there. So we'll see if it does. I think we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and get my eye on him. I think he is. So let's we might need a kazoo for this moment. But AJ Digby finally getting one of his lucky dogs that he's been so desperately needing for so many laps. Really should have had it like 5 cautions ago, but finally getting it to get 1 lap down, and hopefully he can get that next one, get back on the lead lap, because that 14 is pretty fast. He definitely can go up there and compete for a top 5 position.
Yeah, without a doubt. Hopefully he can get his 1 remaining lap back and get back on the lead lap, because it has been a pretty rough race for him. Let's see if we can dial up one of these drivers. Let's try and dial up Dave Wilson there in that number 20 machine currently leading this race. Let's see if we can get a production truck to bring him down into the broadcast booth. Hopefully we can. Digby currently on pit road right now, going to get 4 fresh tires.
Life.
All right, there he is, Dave Wilson mid-sentence. We got him. Dave, Peter Short here in 3Y TV booth. You got a copy?
Oh, yes.
All right, man. Right now, this race is kind of starting to go your way all of a sudden. It was a tough first half, but as the track temperature is cooling down, the lights have come on, and you have turned up the wick now, leading the way. How's the car handling out there, and has the track conditions changed significantly?
It's definitely gotten tighter over the race, as it usually does whenever it gets cold. But I've been just trying to run the high line, as it's definitely the best line to defend from the other people, and it's been working out so far. You definitely get a better run on the coming out of the corners too.
Absolutely, but is that going to be your strategy to try and hold off the hard chargers behind you?
For the end of this race, yes. Main point is trying to get the outside, and especially in turn 3 and 4, and just try to hold these guys off. They're all pretty fast tonight, and I'm definitely not my best night I've had in this league, but I'm still doing better than I thought I would. So I'm at this point, I'm just gonna try to defend my lead and see how it goes.
Of course, just a couple of weeks ago, you came back to the SimPossible Racing League after focusing on life rather than the sim racing side of things. But what's it been like you getting back in the saddle here and racing these cars once again?
Oh, it's definitely really fun coming back again. Definitely not the best couple tracks to come back to, especially for me with the Michigan race. Not a big fan of that one in general. That track, I mean. But it's just definitely fun being back with these guys every week and racing. They're definitely a fun crew to be around, and it's always some entertaining racing for all of us.
Absolutely. Well, pace car lights are off, and you'll get set to go back to Green Flag Racing. We wish you best of luck, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you once this race is all said and done.
Yep, thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is driver of the number 20 machine, Dave Wilson, currently leading the race, as we now have 54 laps to go once we go back to Green Flag. And Cameron, we've been seeing it, that high line. It's pretty difficult if you're the car on the inside to make a pass if the car holds stuff on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dave Wilson really has started most of these restarts on that outside line. I think this is probably going to be one of the first ones he's actually been on the inside, so we'll see how that plays to him as he gets down to turn number 1.
Pace car has headed down pit road. We'll get set to go back to Green Flag Racing. Watch that flag man throw the green flag. There it goes, and off and away we go. Good restart by the whole field. Good restart by Nate Catilla to the outside of Dave Wilson as they head off into turn number 1. Wilson's going to really drive it in there deep. He's going to get a great run through the center of the corner, and here comes Christopher Burge now looking underneath the number 4 of Catilla. Christopher Burge, one of those drivers who's kept that number 98 pretty clean here tonight, as that number 98 is going to slide up in front of Catilla, but Catilla's going to come back at him now. Catilla going to do the over-under, and the number 4 contact, a little bit of hip check there on the entry to the corner, going to throw Roberge up into those bumps right up there into the dirty part of the track, and Roberge is going to lose quite a bit of ground.
Yeah, and a bit of damage on that left side too. You see that left front fender a little bit crinkled up. Here on board with Tanner Sharp, but 3 wide in front of him. That's I think that's Kyle Zimmer with Tim Masters and someone else. I think it was Billy Wise there, but Tanner Sharp doing a good job to kind of keep himself composed. I saw there was a comment on the chat that said that Tanner is fast enough to win. He just needs to compose himself and be a little bit more patient. I do agree with that, so I think he's taken heed to that, and definitely is fast enough to win. He's right under Tim Masters right now. Probably going to look for Kyle Zimmer as well. Kyle Zimmer has a little bit of rear end damage, actually a lot of it there. I'm not sure where that came from, but either way, it's not really going to affect the car all too much. That's the car. That's the part of the car that's not in the air as much as the nose is. So definitely keep that as clean as possible. Battle for second. Fernando Matos going on Nate Catilla here out of turn number 4. Matos has the run. And I think he's going to take the position pretty easily down into turn 1. So move that number 17 to the second position. A great run for him. Showing a lot of speed out here tonight. Showing a lot of patience as well. So definitely has kept that car clean for the most part. And doing a good job out there tonight.
Yeah, Fernando Matos, contact!
As I say that.
And around goes the 17, hard contact with the number 9. And oh boy, Fernando Matos, just as we're saying praises about him, man, that's going to be a setback for Fernando. And I'm sure he's not going to be all too happy with that contact. Number 4 just washed up the racetrack down there on the inside. You see that contact with the 25 and the number 9 there, Tim Masters. Looks like even Tanner Sharp and the number 3 got a good lick as he got to the back of, I believe, Christopher Burge. That's right on board with Tanner Sharp as they go through turns number 3 and 4. You see him down there on the inside. There's the initial contact up in front, and Tanner does everything he can to avoid it, but yeah, he gets into the back of the 98 of Roberge. So Tanner Sharp definitely fast enough to win, but he's kind of been stuck now in the pack because he's getting involved in these accidents, and not quite sure if he's going to have to use another fast repair here or not, but he's going to come down pit road with all of your other race leaders.
If you guys want to see the definition of commentator's curse, look no further than the last caution. Literally, as I was talking about, the 17 gets involved in a wreck that sends him all the way back to the back-to-back.
Yeah, I mean, that's commentator's curse to a T.
But looks like everybody's on the road. Ooh, might be some strategy being played there. The 3, I think, might have taken 2 tires. Yes, he did. So he's going to get out in front of the 20 of Dave Wilson, saying that he's not going to play any games on track anymore. He's going to get himself in front of the 20 by strategy. So very interesting call right there. We'll have to see how that works out. I don't think we've seen really anybody take 2 tires in this race so far. So it'll be something to watch.
Yeah, and of course Tanner Sharp would have a fast repair. He did use that fast repair, so that number 3 is back up to full strength. But yeah, 2 tires will definitely be something that is an interesting decision. Of course, at the rate we've had caution flags, it probably won't hurt him too much because as long as we have the same kind of rate of laps per caution, because even if it doesn't work out to his advantage, he's shown that he's a very, very fast car, and he's very, very fast when he does have clean air. However, the number 32, Billy Wise, Alan Capers in the number 13, and Johnny Berardi in the 99, all 3 of those drivers have stayed out there on the racetrack on older tires. So they're going to have to deal with some of these cars behind them with the fresh tires. But that might just hurt Tanner Sharp because he's got a couple cars to pass, although Alan Capers and Johnny Berardi have decided to come down pit road this time. So Billy Wise is now the only driver to stay out on 4 old tires. So that's going to move Tanner up to 2nd and Dave Wilson to 3rd. And a couple of interesting strategy calls at this moment in the race. Billy Wise will be your race leader. And of course, there is history between the 3 and the 32 in this race. So, with the 32 and the 3 being right together here on this restart, things could get exciting, folks, as we only have 45 laps to go this time by.
Absolutely, especially with that speed of the 3 car, he's going to be very aggressive to get out front. Of course, he's been aggressive all night, a little bit less so the last caution or the last run, but now that he has a sniff of that lead back once again on the front row, he's probably going to do all he can to get in front of that 32 as quickly as possible.
And ladies and gentlemen, A.J. Digby is back on the lead lap in the number 14 machine. So, cue the kazoo, because he's back in this thing. There we go. He's back in this thing with a shot at a top 5 after being 2 laps down for what feels like half the race at this point. So, good for AJ getting back up there, not involved in this last accident. And we'll see him charge through this field, I'm sure. He will have the end of the longest line penalty as we go back to green flag racing now in just about half a lap. But, Cameron, we've seen the no-tire strategy not work out too great tonight. I'm pretty certain we'll see the same thing here again.
I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Of course, 2 tires is hugely different than no tires, and that does change the way the car handles when you take 2 tires. It makes it a little bit loose for the most part. So I think these cars are a little bit tight tonight, so maybe that might help the handling of the 3 a little bit. Who knows? But either way, green flag is out. Once again, Billy Wise gets a very good restart on the bottom side. He actually pulls Tanner Sharp by a whole car length into turn number 1. We'll see what happens through 1 and 2 on the outside line. Tanner Sharp drives it in the corner. Look at that run through the corner. Those 2 tires absolutely eating up no tires. But now he has Dave Wilson behind him. Billy Wise dropping like a rock. Pretty much how we expected him. Those no tires just not working whatsoever. But now Tanner Sharp back to where he has been most of this race, out in front of Dave Wilson. Of course, on a bit different tire strategy so far right now, but we'll see how well he's able to hold out there. He's actually doing a pretty good job right now.
Yeah, doing a spectacular job at this point in the run. Of course, the run is only a lap and a half old, but look at Dave Wilson. Wilson dove it off into turn number 3 and actually had to jump off the throttle to avoid running into the back of Tanner Sharp. Sharp really backing up turns number 3 and 4, and we have another caution out on the racetrack. Ooh, Kyle Zimmer in the 25 has gone around. Go back and see if we can see what happened here on a replay. But definitely the 25 has quite a bit of damage, and someone else is smoking out there. Oh man, he might have lost it by himself. We'll have to go back and see if there was any initial contact. Let's see what happened here. Got the 17 in front of him in the wall. Tim Masters down there. Oh yeah, Tim moved up a little bit. It looks like there was a little bit of net code, and that sent that number 25 around. I thought I saw someone else smoking, but that might just have been an iRacing glitch.
Yeah, and really a tough night just got worse for our pole sitter. Kyle Zimmer started there on the pole. Very fast out there tonight. Was probably one of the... He was able to hold up there with Tanner for quite a few laps, but just has gone absolutely terrible since about halfway in the race. Been involved in quite a few incidents. Just not a typical Kyle Zimmer-like night so far. So hopefully he can get himself back up and have some fast cars left. But we'll go ahead and see if we can talk to Tanner Sharp. He's in here now. Tanner Sharp, Cameron Rich up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
All right, man. Well, we saw you absolutely make this race yours for the first half. Once you lost the lead, it really went south in a hurry, but you got yourself back in front of a 20 with a 2-tire strategy. So how is that car feeling right now?
Can you repeat everything you just said? Because I can't hear a thing with my spotter telling me about the 66, and I could care less right now, but could you repeat everything you just said again?
All right, well, we said you were pretty fast out there in the beginning, kind of made this race your own for the first half, you lost the lead and it went south in a hurry, but now you're on 2 tires. How's that car feeling for you?
Feels all right. We're sticking all right. We're gaining speed. I'm just frustrated on a lot of crazy antics out here tonight. I mean, I'm just not trying to drive over anybody, just trying to run my race. And I don't know what the heck's all going on here, but overall, we're having a pretty good night. I think we have one of the best cars out here. Just, I mean, that's that track position, and just got to make sure that guy behind you doesn't, constantly overdrive the corner, and that's where I'm beating everybody's on corner exit. So, I don't know. We're up here towards the front now. We got that clean air, so hopefully we can keep it and play this tire strategy just right to keep it here. Maybe Dave Wilson can beat me to the start-finish line again, so he can compete on the outside, huh?
Yeah, we've seen that a few times from that 20 car. Been very tough on the outside line, especially on those restarts. I think, like you said, you do absolutely have one of the best cars here tonight, and I think that's all we really have for you. We know you're gonna give it your all out there, and we'll let you get back to what you're doing best. So good luck the rest of the race, Tanner. Hope to talk to you again in just a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully we'll talk to you guys too. I mean, we got a little more than 30 laps to go. Anything can happen. So, I guess you could say don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for talking with us, and I think you're going to go green here in just a moment. So get out there and do some work.
10-4. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well,
Those pesky spotters, I tell you what, sometimes they can be pretty noisy in your ear.
absolutely. Well, you heard from Tanner himself, a bit frustrated with the way his race has gone tonight, but he is out where he needs to be, and that is in the first position right now in front of that 20 of Dave Wilson, who has been his main competition on the night and probably on the better tire strategy right now, or absolutely on the better tire strategy. He has 4 tires to Tanner's 2, but it's up to Tanner to get out there and beat the 20, and we'll see how that goes down with about 37 laps to go on the restart.
Yeah, and I figured out why I saw additional on that last accident. It's the darn left front tire of Johnny Berardi still not turning. iRacing is now showing it as a locked up tire, and so good old iRacing glitches. But nonetheless, as you can see, that left front tire is still not turning. You'd think that pit crew would have noticed that by now, but nonetheless, yeah, you can see those marks that it's leaving. That's what was throwing up a little bit of smoke on my screen, so I thought someone else's engine had blown, but nonetheless, that number 99 leaving a little bit of a black trail around the racetrack. I'm curious to know if iRacing is actually factoring that into the algorithm that rubbers up this racetrack. It'd be an interesting thing to find out about, whether or not that's being included. But nonetheless, we're going to go back to green flag racing here, and just under a lap. We'll have 36 laps to go once we go green, like you said, Cameron, and Tanner Sharp will lead us back to green flag racing. This is the first restart we have seen Tanner Sharp lead here in a long time.
Yeah, I was actually wondering why there was a black rubber marks around the entirety of the racetrack pretty solidly, so I guess we know now, but either way, we're going to focus on this restart. This is going to be a pretty key one right here. Pace car is off. Your leader, Tanner Sharp, on 2 tires, and Dave Wilson on 4. Pretty good restart for both drivers. Tanner Sharp actually nudges ahead of Dave Wilson by about half a car length into turn number 1. Tanner on that bottom side. Dave Wilson been very strong on the outside, but I think Tanner has the advantage. Yes, he actually got a very good run through turns 1 and 2, and he's going to clear Dave Wilson by a couple car lengths there. You see from the back onboard cam watching that number 20 Cadbury machine out the back. He actually is under fire from his teammate in the 98 of Christopher Burge. So pretty much going as expected for Tanner Sharp right now. Exactly what he needed to see in his rearview mirror.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dave Wilson has dropped to about 0.3 of a second behind that number 3 machine. And we've seen Tanner Sharp, once he starts to set sail, he has been pretty tough to beat tonight. Look at this battle. Look at the number 14 there, AJ Digby, currently riding in the 7th position. This is a battle for the 6th position with Fernando Matos. Actually, excuse me, this is a battle for the 5th position with Fernando Matos, as Digby has just rocketed himself through the field and now resides in 5th position. So great recovery for Digby after being 2 laps down for most of this event. Now up to 5th, and now side-by-side battle looking back outside of Digby's machine between the 13 of Alan Capers and the 17 of Fernando Matos. Really a big gaggle of cars. You can see Kyle Zimmer trying to use that high line. There's a lot of bumps up there, and I think that's why the 25 didn't get the run he was hoping for. Matos now going to dive down to the inside on Digby. And Digby is going to hold him off at least for now, but now Capers has that preferred higher groove. We'll see if Capers can make the move on Matos here in turns number 1 and 2. Not yet able to do so, but he's got a really good run down the backstretch. Ooh, the 17 cuts him off a little bit. That won't make Alan Capers too happy, as he's able to get that high line through the corners, but once again, back to single file at Iowa.
And all these cars in a line from about the 98 of Christopher Burge to the 25 of Kyle Zimmer. That's about 5 cars in a row. Excuse me, 6 cars, counting it's hard. But pretty good run. Ooh, look, Digby's going for the 4th position on Nate Tilly. He's going to actually take it pretty easily. He drove past him into turn number 1 there. Excuse me, that's turn number 3. I don't know my ends of the speedway, but Nate Tilly is saying, no, I'm not going to let you have that position very easily. Going to come back on turn 4, but not able to do anything just yet. So Digby absolutely probably driving extremely frustrated with the fact that he has spent half this race multiple laps down after being on his roof. Definitely doing a great job right now, making some positions up, and I think he's actually going to go on for the 98 of Christopher Burge right here. Yes, he is. So battle for 3rd position, Digby and Roberge. Digby on the low side, Roberge on the high side. Digby slides up a little bit, very close there through 1 and 2, but let's see the number 4, Catilla, in the wall a few cars back, but he is able to keep it straight, and Christopher Burge able to drive away from Digby. Got the good run off turn number 2, so nothing Digby can do just yet, but he is stronger through turn 4. Look at that. Look at the run he gets. Absolutely flying through that corner. That's his end. That is his strongest end of the speedway, and seeing if he can make a move down into turn number 1. I do believe that he might have it this time. Has a good run down the backstretch. And if he can make the move into turn 3, which he's trying to do right here, driving it very deep into the corner on that bottom side, he's going to slide up off turn number 4 here. Yes, he is. So move AJ Digby up to the 3rd position, absolutely flying in that number 14.
Yeah, AJ Digby finally back into the top 3 in this race. Now we'll have to see if he has the pace to run down either Dave Wilson or Tanner Sharp. Tanner Sharp up at the front is running about a 1/10 of a second faster than Dave Wilson, even though he only took 2 tires under his last stop 22 laps ago. He is a 1/10 faster than Dave Wilson, so that's pretty impressive out of that number 3 machine. Now that Digby has cleared Tanner Sharp, Digby was actually a little bit faster than Dave Wilson, but not enough to close in all too rapidly, as you see this battle now unfolding between Roberge and Matos and Zimmer. Zimmer's now worked his way up into the 5th position. So Kyle Zimmer starting to rebound.
A little bit further back, the number 4, Nate Cadilla, who was about in the 3rd position a few laps ago, has fallen all the way back to 10th. So something happening to that 4 car. I believe he was in the wall a few laps ago, and definitely has fallen all the way almost to the back car on the lead lap, only in front of Tom Johnson. So not a good piece, or not a good thing for that number 4, who has been very fast all night. He's had top 5 speed, just has been involved in some things and here and there, and really not having the luck on his side. But either way, still about 24 laps to go for him to make something happen. Battle in front of him, Tim Masters and Billy Wise going at it for the 8th position. Billy Wise is going to take it off for turn 4, maybe not so fast. Yes, he actually slides right up in front of the 9 car, and Tim is going to try to do the crossover into turn 1, but Billy on that preferred outside groove. Tim actually hits the apron. Ooh, a little bit loose there. Saw some tire marks being made off the rear tires of that number 9. He's going to be under fire from Nate Catilla here into turn number 3, but Tim Masters on that preferred high side. Ooh, might be some close quarters off turn 4. Yes, there was. Nate Catilla had to get out of it, and he's going to be under fire from Tom Johnson now.
Yep, and this battle continues to rage on. Tim Masters, we've seen some pace out of him, especially on the long run tonight. Almost gets into the wall there coming out of turn number 2. Had to check up. No contact with the 56, and Tim saves it. Great save there by Tim to keep that machine going straight. There's the 66 of Brian Lowhead on pit road once more, and it's been a tough night for him. You see he used the fast repair. And yeah, there's AJ Digby, and I was looking at this before that battle between Catilla and Tom Johnson, and Tim Masters was heating up, but that number 14 is closing in on Dave Wilson over the last few laps. Digby's actually been the fastest car on the racetrack. He's about 0.2 of a second faster than Dave Wilson over the last 5 laps on average, and he has 4 fresh tires at least relative to Tanner Sharp, who only has 2. So Digby's closing on in.
Yeah, that 14 is very faster now, and he is continuing to be the fastest car on the racetrack. Last time by, ran a 23.310 to a 4.30 for Dave Wilson and a 3.74 for Tanner Sharp. So the gap to Tanner Sharp not as big as to Dave Wilson, obviously, but either way, he is gaining time, and that is something to see with how that 14's night has been. Ooh, contact 98 got turned around by the 32 Billy Wise, and they all saved it. They're all going straight, and somehow we just saw a wreck that did not cause a caution.
Yeah, I tell you what, these drivers have had a great showing tonight from in the way of saves. You see this little bit of contact right there between the 32 and the 98, and that second nudge by Billy Wise straightened up Roberge's car and allowed the number 56 of Tom Johnson to scoot through the middle.
Don't look now, but here comes AJ Digby on the outside of Dave Wilson. Wilson actually got in the wall off of turn number 4 and absolutely shot his momentum, but he's going to drive around him pretty easily. And Digby is still about 2 seconds behind our leader, Tanner Sharp, 2.1 to be exact, but is still running a little bit quicker on average. So this will be a battle to the end, I have to believe, if he's able to keep that pace up.
16 laps to go at Iowa Speedway. Tim Masters just got a little hit check by Chris Roberge back in the pack, but we're watching that battle for the race lead possibly start to heat up between the number 3 and the number 14. There's still pretty much an entire back straight between the number 3 and the 14, but Digby's time to close in is running out here, riding on board with Fernando Matos. He's had a good night trying to get around the 13 of Alan Capers here. Got the number 99 of Johnny Berardi just in front of them. They're side by side coming through the middle of the racetrack, the D-shaped oval. There's Kyle Zimmer behind these two. 3-car battle now for the 4th position. Zimmer's trying to find where to go here. He's kind of a wall of cars right in front of him. They're going through 3 and 4 right now. And really, if you're Kyle Zimmer, you just got to be patient because something like that might happen. And Zimmer clobbered the wall there coming out of the corner. That's not what he was hoping to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's still stuck back in the 6th position, not really able to do much right there with those two in front of him, Fernando Matos and Alan Capers. It seems like those two drivers, Capers and Matos, have been together all night. We've seen those two drivers really on track for most of the night. Alan Capers had got a very bad run off turn number 4, and he's going to lose the spot to Zimmer, so move Zimmer up to the 5th position for at least the time being, and he's going to want to get around Matos as well, but Alan Capers saying, no thank you, I will try to come back, and he's actually going to go for Matos as well, so drove it very deep into turn number 3, trying to get that 17th position. We'll see what he can do off turn 4, and no, he can't, so he's going to move himself back to the 6th position, and Zimmer doing pretty good recovery for him. We talked a little bit a few laps ago about how he's pretty much had a torrid night for his standards, but doing a good job to get himself back into the top 5.
Absolutely. Well, one thing, Cameron, I do want to talk about is, the 25 in the wall, bouncing it off a couple times. That's not what Zimmer was hoping to do.
And once again.
Yeah, once again, bouncing it off the wall. And there's Nate Catella in the number 4 machine. Where did he come from? He slid back. Now he's working his way forward. He's going to try and take the position from Alan Capers. And Nate Catilla, man, he's kind of ebbed and flowed in this race. And he's now up, getting past the number 13 as Alan Capers smacks the wall. Looks like these cars are all of a sudden getting really tight as we have 9 laps to go at Iowa Speedway.
And once again, AJ Digby a little bit quicker than Tanner Sharp that last lap, exactly 1/10 quicker, but really he's going to need to pull something miraculous out of himself for these next 8 laps if he's going to want to catch that 3 car. Those two are trading fast laps back and forth each and every lap, and really I think that if everything keeps as is, I think Tanner just needs to keep it out of the wall because he is quite a bit of ways ahead of the 14. So I think we might be seeing win number 3 in a row for that 3 car if something doesn't happen, if a caution doesn't come out or something. As I say that, they're trying to bring one out right here. 4 in the 17, very close on the track, but able to keep off each other. But like you said, Peter, that number 4 has made a pretty miraculous recovery himself. He was back in about 11th position a few laps ago, getting himself back up to the top 5 right in front of Alan Capers there.
Yeah, and one thing I want to let you know, Cameron, is there are green, white checkers enabled. So if we get a caution now, that won't end the race. In iRacing, that would have typically ended the race. But on this last update that they did last week, we now have green, white checkers. Those are in effect here tonight. So if we get a caution here in the next 6 laps or so, this race will have a restart, which will be pretty exciting to see. Haven't yet seen a green, white checker in an iRacing race, but there is 5 laps to go. Look at this run that Kyle Zimmer's got coming out of turn number 4 to the inside of Alan Capers. Not quite able to pull off that move just yet. You can see how tight it is down there on the bottom. There's just not enough grip down there. Zimmer had to back out of it, and Capers holds on to the 6th spot for now. Nate Catilla just in front of him. He's trying to mount a charge on Fernando Matos. But here comes Zimmer. Zimmer's going to come back on Alan Capers, as we have pretty much a battle for the 4th position and a battle for the 6th position going on at the same time. And just as I say that, both of those positions change hand. Move Catilla up to 4th and move Zimmer up to 6th.
Yeah, Nick Catilla has been very good on the brakes as of late. He's been able to outbrake most of his competitors, doing a very good job, probably moving that brake bias all the way back and just jamming them as hard as he can, trying to get that car rotated. Of course, that's the kind of thing that I would do myself at this stage in the race. Just, some contact there with Zimmer and Capers. They're trying to bring out that caution, get that green-white checkered, but either way, they're able to keep it straight and see Tom Johnson there in the battle as well.
Yeah, we have 2 laps to go, and Tanner Sharp's going through turns number 3 and 4, so we need a caution pretty quickly because the white flag is in the flagman's hand. Tanner Sharp has 1 lap from victory here at Iowa Speedway. That 2-tire call has looked to be genius here, as he is now going through turns number 1 and 2, halfway down the back stretch. There's no one who can catch that number 3 machine. He has shown his pace here tonight. And coming out of turn number 4, Tanner Sharp wins the Iowa 145.
What an absolutely crazy race that was.
It was a pretty crazy race, but that number 3 showed his early dominance there at the end to get that win with a pretty commanding finish. There's AJ Digby. What a recovery from him. Can't wait to talk to your runner-up tonight when we didn't have a green-white checker. So we've yet to have a green-white checker here on 3-Wide TV. Oh, excuse me, we had one on Monday in the SimPossible mixed series with the K&N cars. But Tanner Sharp is doing donuts down there on the inside of the racetrack. I'm sure that will be a relief for Tanner. I know he's had a couple of races like this year slip away from him, but he's finally got that streak of getting towards the back, and he's finally been able to work his way back up for a win here tonight.
And that also means that he's pulled a turkey in the SimPossible League, 3 in a row for the B cars, winning at Pocono, Michigan, and now Iowa. So Tanner Sharp coming out here, and he did miss a race early on in the year. Is the first driver in the field with only 12 races counted to his credit in the 3rd position points. So he's doing all he can to claw those points back and doing a good job at that.
Yeah, that one race was back at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and that race was not of his own doing. It was his internet service provider that dropped him out of the race in practice, and he could never get back in. And he was very upset about that. But so that's the one reason he missed that one race. But nonetheless, he now has 4 wins to his credit on the season, which is the most out of any driver, and has been making inroads on your points leader, Kyle Zimmer. Zimmer came home in the 6th position tonight. So Tanner Sharp came in 30 markers back, but he'll be quite a bit closer once the points are retotaled.
And we will go ahead and let these drivers get thoughts collected, get out of the cars, and cool off a little bit after a very hot night here in Iowa. and we'll have some interviews for you guys in just a moment, so hang tight.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Iowa Speed. We just concluded tonight's event. Tanner Sharp coming home with the win. But before we talk to him, we got some other interviews here for you guys today. And first off, we're going to have the third place finisher, Dave Wilson. Dave Wilson, Tim Rich up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, well, pretty good run for you. Looked like a tale of 2 races almost. You were behind the 3 for a lot of the event, then you got out in front of him and kind of saw the 3 car kind of tumble down the order. But that 2-tire call at the end ultimately proving to be the winning move. Is there something you could have done differently, or did you would you have done the same strategy that you played again?
I mean, there wasn't really much I could do anyway. I was just hoping that we would all take 4 tires and I would get back in the lead again, but that did not happen. It was a good move on calling Tanner, and it was definitely some good racing there, but he was definitely faster off throughout the race, and I knew I was a lot slower, so I took a gamble by pitting, and I'm glad I did because it was a long run, so it would have been painful near the end if I did not pit. So it was some good racing there at the very end, but I just kind of wish I had a bit of a better finish there near the end.
Yeah, one thing I want to ask you, the race started in the kind of evening conditions, and of course was fully nighttime by the time we threw the checkered flag. How did the track change throughout that transition in the weather?
The car definitely turned a lot better into the corner, but it was definitely tight on exit. It pushed like a dump truck for the most part. I was definitely not backing my corners up though, as I usually do, but it's I just find this track you got to be a bit more aggressive, especially in these short runs that we were having for most of it. And unfortunately, it just did play out to my in my hand at the end of the race. But the track definitely changed a lot throughout the race, and the grip just kept on increasing over time, and it just unfortunately wasn't my skill per se.
Yeah, I definitely know that feeling. I'm more of a kind of a slick track driver myself, and with your wins this year being at 3 tracks that are generally pretty slick, I'd say that does make a lot of sense. But either way, a good result for tonight's race, 3rd position after starting in 6th. But next week we are off, but after that we go to Chicagoland, which is another low grip racetrack. How are you looking forward to that one?
I haven't really gotten to race it much, so it's still kind of new to me. We did race it last season in the trucks, and I believe I was able to get the win by a caution near the end of it, but it's definitely not my strong suit of a track, so I'm just gonna do my best and try to hold off all the fast guys if I do get in the lead, and just race as hard as I can and win.
All right, Dave. Well, thank you very much for coming with us. Before we let you go, as always, we know you got some shout-outs you want to give, so let's hear them.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys up in the booth for streaming these races and commentating them every single week. All of us drivers like to go back after the race and see what all happened throughout and see all the cautions and just really see all the great racing that happened throughout the field. I'd also like to thank all the guys that make these races possible, all the drivers, Jeff Schmidt, the owner of the league, for hosting these races every week. Without everybody in SimPossible, it's just it wouldn't be a thing, but it would definitely be a lot less fun racing with all the guys that are more able-bodied. It's definitely something for these guys that struggle a lot more than I do, per se. I know some of these guys are racing with just their hands. They don't have feet really to work with too much, so it's definitely cool to see how well they do every week, and it's always an honor for me to race with them.
All right, Dave. Well, thank you very much for talking with us once again, and we will definitely see you again in 2 weeks' time at Chicagoland as well. So thank you once again, and congrats on finishing third.
Thank you.
It's your third place finisher, Dave Wilson. I believe Peter Short has caught up with our second place finisher, probably the valiant effort of the day, AJ Digby.
That I have, and AJ Digby, my oh my, what a race. It seemed like just couldn't get your laps back there in the middle of the race, but you finally did, and boy, did you show your speed. Almost running down Tanner Sharp. You definitely had some pace there towards the end. You're a little bit faster than that number 3 machine, but talk us through your race, because it was up and down.
Yeah,
AJ, I think you might be having some technical issues on your end. Well, you heard him for a brief moment there, but AJ Digby definitely having some microphone issues. Well, let's see if we can dial up one more time. AJ Digby, you got a copy? All right, so it looks like possibly some technical difficulties with AJ Digby. We'll see if we can come back to him here in just a minute. But let's see if Cameron Ritchie, I think you're going to dial up Tanner Sharp.
Yeah, I got him right here, the man himself, bowling the turkey here in the SimPossible Racing League 3 in a row. Tanner Sharp, you got a copy?
Yep.
All right, well, pretty much a run of dominance tonight. But almost a tale of two races. You were so fast out there in the beginning, then it looked so bad, and then it looked so good again. I just want to know, kind of just take us to the race in your own eyes.
The start of the race was fine. We were just kind of driving. I think the 25 may have accidentally overdrove the first corner of the track, and we were on his outside, and he slowed it down enough not to take anybody around the outside, so that allowed us to get the lead. But once we got the lead, we were golden. We were working with that clean air, and Dave was learning behind us every restart, so he was actually learning when to get into the throttle right off the bat. So, and at times he beat us to the line on it, and he was able to recuperate on that outside row. So Dave was learning as laps kept going on, so that's good for Dave. We were just trying to beat him, and then we were basically just kind of sitting there for a while in the lead, and everything's going on. I don't know, all them cautions started flying. I don't know what was going on back there, but either way, we weren't necessarily complaining about anything. The car was tight all night. I could hit that apron and not spin out. No matter how hard I tried to get the car loose, it would not get loose. I was wearing out that right front tire, but when we made contact with Dave, we were just racing hard, and I didn't realize Chris Roberge was coming on the inside row, so I came down and waved myself out, so that was my fault. That I put myself in that position to be in that traffic, so that was all on me. And then I don't know what the heck happened on the back straightaway. Guys are staying out. Everybody knows, especially in iRacing, that Iowa up the tires, and sometimes there's guys on fresh tires and you're on older tires, and they accidentally bump you, and some guys are getting ticked off about that. I don't know what the heck to do about that. I mean, it's a gamble they take, and that's every right for them to take, to try to go for a gamble on something. So apologize for if I hit anybody. I mean, I'm not trying to hit anybody. It's just tire difference and who's faster through the corner, realistically. So, not trying to run anybody over. It's just the hand you play sometimes. So, but overall, we took them 2 tires, man. We just needed to get ahead of that 20 car. And the 32 that stayed out under that caution, he must have taken no tires because we were him through the corner. So, we had more grip. So, we had the lead. So, if we could just take the lead and have a good green flag run, man, and I can just hit my marks just right, we were gonna, we were golden, and that's what we did, especially on 2 tires, and we pulled away. So it was a good effort by the 3 team here tonight, and it was a good effort by other guys too. They really tried to go for a gamble on something, and some paid off, some didn't, and it is what it is. So, but overall, it was a decent race.
Yeah, I want to ask you from your perspective, of course, leading the most laps here tonight and being the undisputed dominant car. Of course, this race started in the evening and went towards the nighttime. How did the car change as the track descended into the darkness?
I mean, I don't care. I mean, if I really wanted to hit that apron, that car would not spin out. The back end would not, turn. So it was just a matter of not overshooting the corner on entrance, because if you go back and look at the time differentials, or even go back and look at my live stream on Facebook and all that, guys are beating me on entrance, but I'm beating them on exit. I'm just ease in and hard off, and that's how I think I pulled away like that. Some guys are just trying to learn the corner of the track, and you have to treat turn 1 and 2 different than 3 and 4, and that's what I did. I ran the bottom in 1 and 2 and the high line 3 and 4. Just hitting the marks just right, and keeping focused. That was the main goal, and we did that tonight. So, apologize if I, bored or got into anybody. It wasn't intentional or anything. I don't know if you're on old tires. I don't keep track of anybody else's tires. I gotta keep track of my own deal.
All right, well, very well. And next week we do go to a track where I think you have had some success before, or not next week, excuse me, 2 weeks from now. We do have an off week next week, but we go to the Chicagoland Speedway. How are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, I think it's like 2 weeks time, Chicagoland, but nonetheless, Chicagoland's a great racetrack. I've got so many memories there at Chicagoland Speedway. I went to that track from 2011 all the way to 2015, so every year. And on iRacing, I've had success on the sim of iRacing at Chicagoland. It's one of my favorite mile-and-a-half racetracks. They actually got a night version on the sim. Finally, I mean, there's no point. I mean, there's no reason why if a track has lights, there should not be a night race. So Texas needs to get a night race here on iRacing. But yeah, Chicagoland's gonna be a fun race. It's got its own character. I hate it in the Cup car because I think the Cup cars kind of killed the characteristics of these mile-and-a-halves. But that's just my opinion. But these B cars, they'll run good there. Depending upon weather settings, I'm expecting tight conditions. That's just me as a race goes on. So I don't even know if it's day or night. So we'll just figure it out from there. It's fixed setup. Everybody's driving the same thing practically. So we'll be all right. We can recuperate now and get ready for Chicagoland.
All right. Well, I do agree with you there on both counts. All the tracks that have lights should have lights. I said that on the forum and got chewed out for it. So all those people that chewed me out, you can go somewhere with that. I also agree about the Cup car. But either way, thank you very much for talking with us, Tanner. Congrats on the win. But before we let you go, as always, we're going to give you a chance to give some shout-outs and all that stuff, people you want to thank. So let's hear them.
Well, first off, thank you to the good Lord above, man. Without the good Lord, I mean, gives you opportunities in this world. Those prayers can take a long time to get to, but eventually answers. But nonetheless, family, friends, SimPossible racing guys, the drivers who race in this league, Jeff, who puts on the league and puts on the races, he does a good job setting them up and ready to go. You guys, Free Wide TV, everybody in the chat here tonight. I heard there was the chat was pretty chatty tonight, so and good viewing. So thank you everybody for watching the race here tonight. Mountain Dew, National Guard, the Shriners Hospital, the AMC program. It's AMC month, Oscar Post this month. We will be driving a Shriners Hospital paint scheme for Chicagoland because there is that's where I was a patient at in Shriners Hospital for Children in Chicago itself. So we're gonna drive a paint scheme for that in 2 weeks time. So. Yeah, thank you everybody for watching the race, and we'll see you in weeks at Chicagoland.
All right, Tanner, well, thank you once again for talking with us. Congrats on your win, and hope to talk to you again in 2 weeks' time.
Yep, thank you guys.
All right, that was your winner, Tanner Sharp, and I think that Peter Short has caught up once again with AJ Digby to see if he's got his issues fixed up.
I believe AJ Digby has, and AJ, it was kind of a roller coaster of a night for you. Middle part of the race, looks like you just could not catch a break to get your last effect, but you finally did, and you had the pace to run down Dave Wilson for second. You made that pass, and you kind of had an outside shot of maybe running down that number 3 machine, but he was pretty much just as fast as you were there at the end. You were trading laps back and forth, but just talk us through your race from your perspective.
Yeah, so I knew I had a really good way to start off the day. And for some reason I decided not to qualify. I don't know why, but I was like, you know what, I'll take the challenge of starting from the back, and at the end of the day it actually worked out because I needed that experience of driving through the pack there on that last restart. But I knew I had a quick car all night. I was definitely battling up in the top 5 the whole day, and knew I had a chance to eventually get up to the front, and then just got caught up in a wreck, and nothing really much I could do other than end up on my hood. And eventually was able to get my laps back, battled back from that, and was able to get on the lead lap there right before that last restart, and worked my way from about 10th to 2nd there through the last 30, 40 some laps. Knew I had a really good car. I had a rock chip, and really felt good at this track, really comfortable. I love short tracks, and I love Iowa, and just wish I would have had a little bit more of a chance to be able to battle up at the front. Was able to work my way through, and then eventually pull away from Dave and everybody, and slightly was catching Tanner, and it just would have been nice to have a restart up towards the front with them and be able to see where that would have taken me. But all in all, I cannot be upset with second with how my race went most of the night.
Absolutely, and from a driver's perspective, I bet you were wanting to have a shot there at the end. How much were you hoping for possibly a green-white checker there at the end?
You always want it because you want the chance to go for the win and try to go get it, but at the same time, with the type of day I had, a green-white checkered could have meant that somebody would have pushed it too hard and caused a wreck or caused something, and I was out of fast repairs there at the end just from getting caught up in things, and so I had to be able to keep my car clean, and I would have loved to catch him or have a chance with him on a restart, but also at the end of the day, you never know tires, you never know things like that, and I think I'm pretty happy with how it ended up turning out.
Absolutely, but the next race we have is in 2 weeks at Chicagoland Speedway. What are your thoughts about Chicagoland? Very different track from tonight's one.
Never done it on iRacing. I've done it on other racing platforms in the past. It's another short-ish track that I like, and can't wait to get out and drive in these cars. I always feel like I excel in the shorter tracks, and I know I'll progress throughout the night. Just like that's kind of my thing, is to try to see what other people are doing and mend it, and that's what I did tonight. And I know that I'll be able to continue to do that over the next few weeks, and hopefully pull myself back points-wise from the weeks I missed.
Absolutely. Before we let you go, AJ, you got some shout-outs for us?
Yeah, thanks to Kevin Vollmer, my cousin, for the beautiful race car tonight. Wasn't able to keep it the cleanest the whole time, but at the end of the day was able to put on a good show, moving up through the field and put that thing towards the front. Thanks to you guys for the broadcast. I'm real excited to watch that later, especially there towards the end. And then Jeff for putting on this great league with all these great racers in it.
Absolutely, it's fun each and every week, but we'll see you in 2 weeks here in the B car, AJ, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you then.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, that is your second place finisher, AJ Digby, and now joining me is league organizer Jeff Schmidt. And Jeff, that was a pretty awesome race. We had a 40-lap green flag run to end the race, and quite some drama through the middle parts of the race. It was a pretty great race, and an entertaining one to watch.
Oh yeah, man, it was great. These guys never cease to amaze me. Their skill level with what they have going on, and of course every driver here has some form of disability, some more severe than others, and either way all of them always do a great job. Yeah, a little bit of drama with the racing, but I mean, you're gonna get that. It's racing, it's short track racing, especially tonight. You know, everyone wants to win, of course, and And sometimes at these short tracks, some people are a little more aggressive than others, and not everyone races the same. So of course there's going to be a dispute here or there, but the guys will get along. They'll figure it out. It's never anything too bad. They want to win, man. It's racing, so it happens. But yeah, awesome job overall by everyone. A ton of 3-wide racing tonight. A lot of awesome clean passes. So yeah, we'll take the good with the bad. Absolutely.
Well, nonetheless, it was an exciting show to watch here, and in a couple of weeks we got Chicagoland, which should be an entertaining race. What are your thoughts about things going forward, Chicagoland, and in the future? And I'm sure you got some shout-outs for us.
Yeah, Chicago should be a fun race, man. I like that track. A lot of guys do. It's kind of my home track since the Milwaukee Mile has not been really operational for NASCAR races anymore, but yeah, I try to go catch a race there if I can in real life here, but it's a fun track. And now that they added the lights, we'll have to see if we go night racing there next week. Not next week, in 2 weeks, when we get, visit it back at let's see here. Actually, yeah, next week is an off week in our B-Car series. Monday we're going to Talladega, and the following Monday will be at Chicago, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Yep. So that'll be in the K&N car. Yeah, Monday will be at Talladega in the trucks. The following week will be in the K&N car. Of course, we do have an off week next week for our B-Car series here. And then when we get back in our B-Car, we will be going to... Yeah, Chicago. Yep. Sorry, I'm getting confused between all the 3 vehicles here.
Yeah, there's a lot of schedules to keep up with here in SimPossible, but definitely it's entertaining to watch each Monday and Wednesday night here on 3-Wide TV. But I know you got some shout-outs for us, so let's hear them.
Yeah, no doubt, man. You guys in the booth for always helping out and broadcasting this. It's amazing. You guys do such an awesome job. Peter, yourself, Cameron, and Carlos, man, thank you so much, guys. You really do a great job with it, and it's only gotten better and better since you've gotten to know the guys a little more and kind of how everything goes with us. And yeah, it's just an awesome thing. Got to thank everyone that watches too. Make sure to like it and subscribe. 3-Wide TV, man, they really do an awesome job for us, and they deserve as much recognition as possible for doing what they do for us here. So definitely show some love. Everyone in the comments always, thanks for making things interesting always, man. We like to see comments, we like to see the views go up. Just thank you so much for your support, everyone. We couldn't do it without you. Got to thank the drivers, definitely. We do this for them, so as long as they have fun, then everything's worth it. And got to thank their families for helping out as well. I think there's a birthday shout out for Fernando, his dad. So Mr. Matos, happy birthday. Anyone else that may be our first time watcher out here watching us, tune in, man. It's a great time. It's a good show. These guys do an awesome job.
Well, there you go. That's league owner and organizer Jeff Schmidt. And Jeff, we thank you for stopping by, and we hope to talk to you again next week.
Thanks, Peter.
All right, well, Cameron, this was a fantastic race. Now, let's go through those race results. Your race winner tonight is Tanner Sharp. He led the most laps. He led 119 of the 166 laps tonight. AJ Digby was your runner-up in the number 14 machine, finishing in third. Dave Wilson in the number 20. Nate Catilla, well, 4 for 4 once again. 4 was Nate Catilla's number all night long, finishing just behind Wilson. Fernando Matos comes home in the 5th position. Good run for Fernando. Pretty much up there for most of the race. Kyle Zimmer finishes in 6th. He came in tonight as your points leader. We'll have to see how the points shake out after this is all said and done. Alan Capers comes home 7th. Tom Johnson 8th. Billy Wise finishes in 9th. And Chris Reberge rounds out your top 10.
In the 11th, we got the number 9 of Tim Masters coming home in 12th, and 99 of Johnny Berardi. Brian Lohead with some connection issues, never able to get those laps back and retired early. finishing in 13th. Travis Zudema and Doug McCollum both pulling off early as well. But I think that's all we got for you guys tonight. Of course, we want to give a shout out or a thanks from us at 3x TV for everybody that tunes in either live or watches the replays after the fact. All of our chatters and everything that keep us going and everything. And you know, it was a pretty chatty night tonight, so thank you all for coming out to hang with us. That was pretty cool to watch. We hope you enjoyed the show. I want to also thank SimTV for the cameras that allow us to show you these good angles each and every week, as well as Thomas Morris from OCR TV for this graphics package, which looks absolutely incredible and really adds to this broadcast and everything. But you know what? Like we said, that's all we got for you guys tonight. So tune in, I believe, next Monday for more SimPossible racing action. We should have the trucks once again. And from myself, from Peter Short, from Carlos Costa, thank you very much for tuning in, and hope you guys have a good night.